What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the KCM Season 2 semifinals, Terran versus Protoss. We're getting started here with game number 1 on Polestar. Let's jump right in. Pulling up our lineup: YSC Tyson, Motive Mini, Light, Sharp, Sock, Mong. The polls are in. People believe that Terran is going to be able to win this one by a large margin. 82% of voters said that Terran's going to take this one home. And I gotta say, the lineup looking a little bit rough here for Protoss. The B team is coming out. The B squad is here for the semifinals, unfortunately.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about that previously, about how it's most likely, due to time constraints, players like Snow, got kids at home, wife to take care of as well. I mean, all these players having to allocate their time as wisely as possible, and that means some events like KCM will be a little bit in the back burner for some of these guys who are fully matured adults with families. And there also might be some other cases of not wanting to underperform and look bad if you can't quite put enough practice time into your game at the moment. So kind of allowing some of these B teamers to have a chance to shine. I'm hoping that YSC Tyson and Motive can punch well above their weight. They're going to need to. Mini's also going to do a lot of heavy lifting. He's a bit of an emotional player though, so I'm not sure what Mini we're going to get today. I hope it's going to be that Mini that will be able to dominate players like Light with crazy high level micro and optimizations, but we don't always see that. We see sometimes like magic from Mini, but he doesn't always go the distance.
The B teamers are getting a chance today, so let's give them a chance as well.
Yeah.
Let's see if they're able to perform. Sometimes Motive surprises me, man. That guy can really play some great Starcraft when he is on point. YSC as well. We've seen some great PVTs out of him. Tyson has been falling a little bit short lately, and Mini, like you said, emotional player. We'll see what type of play we get from him here, but he's got a revive. Definitely, I would imagine that revive going over to Mini, unless somebody comes out and just carries like crazy. Somebody's on fire today. Maybe we'll see them get a revive early on, but I imagine it'll go to Mini in the end, guys. One revive on either side could be a very long series here, but it could also be very short. We've seen some really short semifinals in the past.
Absolutely, saying it looks like Mini might be skipping over that Zealot initially. Just going to try and optimize for maybe a rangeless expand here. We'll have to wait and see. Might be a 19 Nexus or a 23 Nexus. We'll have to see what he wants to go for. I mean, this was a bunker expand from Sharp, who spawned in the top left on Polestar. He could block the with an eBay on the lower ground here and really sandbag the attempt from Mini to get a very quick Nexus up because he skipped the Zealot. Sorry, yeah, from Tyson from skipping the top. There it is. There's the eBay I expected, Sam.
Awesome. Gonna really block this Nexus for quite a while. Can put a lot of HP onto that. With only one probe down here, he could have kind of drifted over, canceled, restarted the building, but wants to save that SCV instead. So pulling that away. With two probes here, he's not going to be delayed too heavily. He's forced to throw down the Robo before Nexus, but he will kind of even out his build despite being slowed down just slightly.
Yeah, and Sharp wisely not going to skip that bunker for too long. He only made 2 Marines initially, so he's already getting away with a little bit of greed here. Is Sharp. He's kind of like skipping over an early Marine to be able to afford that eBay, because he does get the majority of that money back when he cancels it, but about a Marine's worth will not be regained from that. So he's kind of making an appropriate adjustment to his optimizations, knowing that there's no pressure on the front anyway, so he can kind of delay making that bunker as long as possible and optimize his minerals as much as he can. And honestly, this is looking pretty good for Sharp so far. I mean, he does have the tech advantage, but the fact that Sharp got in here and saw that this was a fast robo is going to really help him out.
Yeah, he can make the necessary cuts, knowing that it's not any sort of quick DT. Could see him go for Academy Armory here rather than getting that eBay out if he's feeling really confident going into just Goliaths for that defense early. Can be a great way to optimize. There's the armory. Will he get Academy here, or is it going to be time for eBay?
I think, yeah, eBay. I mean, Academy would be okay, but it depends. Like, if someone like Flash might try and get away with the Academy here. I have a feeling he'll throw down the eBay. There it is. It's just a little bit safer and easier to pull off. And also frees up your production time for, you know, just purely tanks and vultures. And if you are worried about that Reaver harass spiraling out of control, making sure you've got non-stop tank production to go as quickly as into 3 tanks as possible is definitely a good decision.
It makes sense. Gonna have some turrets coming up here shortly, anti-Reaver turrets, and to make sure that he doesn't take too much damage from this quick Reaver, but Tyson is planning to follow up with a pretty quick third base. He wants to utilize this Reaver to deal some damage, but primarily to slow down any sort of push from Sharp. If we see this Reaver go down, it could be a kind of a situation where a counter-attack would just absolutely bowl him over. He has hardly any production here, so he has to be very careful with this initial Reaver.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It could still do a lot of damage, though. It's a pretty crisply timed Reaver. Observatory in the natural to act as Sim City will prevent any of Sharp's shenanigans. He's so good with his vultures early on, but he's actually going for the hybrid style. He's going to have a couple of these turrets set up, as well as now getting those Goliaths out a little bit as an afterthought, but I'm not sure if he'll have the Karen boosters for those Hellfire missiles to easily shoot this down, but I mean, he definitely can be mobile now with these Goliaths and try and do some chip damage onto that shuttle, make it riskier and riskier for Tyson to commit to anything here. And I mean, this could spiral out of control for Sharp going forward. There's some potential chip damage onto that shuttle already. That's what we were looking for. Now that shuttle's a little bit softened up, and the harassment potential is kind of like dwindled now, and probably won't be getting a whole lot done with this Reaver.
I wasn't expecting Tyson to be too aggressive with that, considering the lack of units back home and the speed of that third. Going in with that and risking the life of that shuttle and Reaver is a little bit too much. It's a bit too bold. Tyson here gonna work towards getting this macro online, and the follow-up here, a 4th base quickly as well, I think. Flying in like this, oh my goodness, he's really gonna go in deep. All right, that turret underneath the shot. Oh, the turret under the eBay is so sick. It actually gets the kill there. Tyson really messed up with this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the problem is you can't even target the turret as well, on top of the fact that he had softened up that shuttle significantly with those Goliaths earlier on. That's why it was such a big deal that he got that damage in that he did. He didn't even just shave the shields off. He actually went in a little bit to the hull HP of that shuttle and made it so much easier for the longbow missiles of that turret to clear that out. Now Tyson's in a world of hurt. He doesn't have this critical artillery unit to slow down the advancements of Sharp. He could just take his 3rd base here, or he could just go for a massive push. He's already starting to scan and clear out some of these observers, so Tyson's going to feel very uncomfortable. Sharp's going to throw down the CC and start to expand. He could be aggressive as well as taking this base, but he doesn't have to. He could just sit here at his 3rd base and secure this. Tyson's going to poke in a little bit here with the Dragoons, but that's actually a bit of an unwise decision, because this setup from Sharp is just way too much for him to handle right now.
Vultures are out on the map, and I see a lot of openings that Sharp could try to exploit. Seems that Tyson has decided, well, we're going to let Sharp take this 3rd. Probably not a good idea to try and push into that. Getting into a forge here, and then thinking about going for that 4th base, but Sharp is being a little active with his tank army. Is he actually going to push here? Maybe he thinks he's got enough of an advantage to make that work. Oh, 2 vultures slip into this corner. Gonna do a lot of damage here, force the reaction from Tyson, and then push forward with the tanks while this is being dealt with back at home.
I'm getting chills, man. This was so good from Sharp. He threatened the idea of a 7-tank push just to keep the Dragoons focused on the periphery and not actually in positions to intercept the roaming vultures. He even had an SCV at the 3 o'clock position to slow down the 4th base timing of Tyson as well. Well, the vultures checked the 6 o'clock initially just to make sure there was no 4th base being taken too greedily, and then he knew that it was a good opportunity to go for that snipe in the 3rd base because of these Dragoons being locked down by the potential of that tank push. He needed to scout that out. He took out the observers, so Tyson was kind of desperate to get some scouting information to identify any potential threats from Sharp, and it's just beautiful play from Sharp overall, saying I'm so impressed.
Yeah, he's being very careful with this follow-up. Was posturing there, like you said, but staying back at home now to cover that 3rd base. His army is looking very strong. Look at how many factors are being added here as well. We're going to see a massive 1-1 push, I think, out of Sharp. We don't have a science facility here yet, and a lot of factors have been added. So he's sensing some weakness, some blood in the water, and he's got his nose to the ground, ready to chase him down.
Oh, Tyson trying to shove around with some shuttles, almost loses one. A scan from Sharp to try and catch it on the escape vector there. Didn't quite find the connections needed to snipe that, but taking that shuttle already down to such low HP really does take the wind out of the sails of Tyson right now. He's trying to take a 4th base, but it's quite a modest timing, and Sharp just has so much production behind this. This is very common in the meta right now to go up to 7 factories on 3 bases to put a lot more meat on the bone. Too much for your opponent to chew through. Now he can start to take the center of the board. Tentatively, look at this play from Sharp, also getting vultures into the 3 o'clock as well, eliminating almost the entirety of that probe line in seconds. And now the Dragoons will be distracted, cleaning up these vultures, allowing Sharp to come out even further on the map for free. Nothing is slowing down this Terran advance right now besides a couple of Reavers. And he's actually put a lot of damage onto those already. Both Reavers popping like zits. And suddenly, Tyson in a world of hurt, saying.
Sharp could push the issue here, but he's done a lot of damage. Now ahead, or not quite ahead in supply, but he was ahead in supply a moment ago. There we go again. Now going to start to wipe out these Dragoons as well. Dude, Tyson just does not have it today. Sharp is all over him, and these vulture run-bys have, as ever, been extremely effective in Sharp's TVP.
Yeah, this is absolutely phenomenal play from Sharp. This isn't just Tyson playing badly. This is just Sharp playing so damn good. Saying this is almost Flash-esque. It's insane. Like the decision making, the execution, everything is just so on point. Look how low his money is. A lot of Terran players struggle to produce on all cylinders at this point in the game. I think he's made an additional factory as well. So we've got about at least 8 factories worth of production. Tyson's desperate to get something done. 4 speed shuttles trying to dive onto those siege tanks with as many cells as possible. Has some Psionic Storm as well to try and hold the line, but it's not going to be enough. There's more than 40 or 50 so supply in advance of Sharp. GG is called, and the Terran squad with Sharp at the helm already taking a quick lead in this semi-final, saying.
Here we are in game number 2, YSC. Sharp's next opponent. Sharp spawning down here in the bottom left. YSC center right. Great map here. And, I mean, we saw Sharp earlier this season get an all kill, am I right? This guy occasionally, I mean, last ASL season, I thought he was going to go all the way, but had some health issues, had some problems. He can still bring it, though, man. This guy is crazy good.
Oh, he gives me chills. He's one of the only Terran players that's not a well-established player like Light that can actually give me chills. Like, it's kind of crazy what he's able to do, saying. I don't even know how this guy is able to do so, but when he is playing his A game, it's almost like he's on a different level. He kind of has the mechanics of someone like, Speed or Barracks in terms of how he's just, his raw speed and being able to do things, but also his decision making and his aggression is almost unparalleled, I would say. It's kind of nuts what he's able to do. When he's finding his stride, he's in the ebb and flow. There's nothing that can seemingly disrupt that. that, and he's going to keep rowing all the way to victory. There's that 11 gas from Sharp as well to optimize the factory timing. Usually you're about 228 factory with a 12 gas. You're closer to 222 with an 11 gas, so shaves off about 5 or 6 seconds off that vulture timing. And if it was something like a Nexus First from YSC, you can get into that natural expansion and punish just before the Dragoons are popping out to save the day.
This is indeed what it's meant to punish, but YSC opening with a gateway gas. Going to be making a Dragoon here, not even probe scouting early. This is one of the most standard Protoss builds. Just waiting for this first Dragoon, gonna take his Nexus and go scout, possibly just with that first Dragoon. Not even gonna know where the Terran player is at until a little bit later on, but optimizing that probe count. This might actually do well against what Sharp is planning here. He's going for such a fast factory, but he is cutting a little bit into his SCVs to get that done.
Yeah, it does slow you down ever so slightly in the economy saying, so it's not like this is a build you want to do every single game necessarily. It does allow you to be more aggressive, and Sharp is a more aggressive player. Sometimes you can get away with not making a tank for a very long time. It's trying to slow down this Nexus. YSC doesn't quite have the money for that anyway right now, so this fancy shenanigans doesn't amount to much. I mean, it does kind of force a more modest timing of 23 rather than say like a 19 or 21 Nexus here. So it forces, you know, extra production out of YSC to optimize, you know, his army rather than his economy. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out, but with the high ground, he doesn't have to make a bunker. He can kind of like bully back this Dragoon with just the 3 Marines, and that allows him to kind of, you know, compensate for that slightly lacking of SCV production early on. And now the trick is, can we bait these Dragoons out of position and slip in this Vulture that he might not expect at this timing? Like, this Vulture is going to be about 5 or so seconds quicker than usual, and he's trying to spot now with his Dragoons in the center to intercept a potential Vulture run by. He doesn't see it, so he might think that he's safe when he's not.
Let's see if he sends out the third Dragoon. If he sends the third Dragoon, he might be in a bit of trouble. Where's that third Dragoon? It's going to pop out here any second. There's the Vulture in the natural. The Dragoon pops out. It pops out, doesn't make it to the ramp in time. A run by here from YSC. At the same time, the Vulture running by. It seems like YSC's not paying attention to this. He sees it now. Dragoon is coming back, but I mean, both players are taking quite a significant amount of damage. 4 kills on this Vulture is insane, and a 5th kill as well. Dragoons, all told, 3 kills between the two of them, so definitely getting the better end of the stick there. Sharp loses his Vulture, but gets a huge amount of damage.
It's so well done. I mean, like, YSC is concentrating on the goon run by and like trying to do some micro with those Dragoons to prevent SCV surrounds and what have you, and that's just as the Vulture's slipping into the main base, and the task switching ability of YSC just a little bit lackluster, and Sharp is able to exploit that. We'll be having a lot of Dragoons showing up to the party in just a moment here to start forcing a big tax bill out in that bunker, but he needs to be careful with this tank, does Sharp. He's always moving up, but he needs to be careful with that tank, Sharp, because those 4 Dragoons will just run in and punish that. But actually kind of baits YSC into a little bit of a blunder and takes a lot of shield damage on the majority of those Dragoons. So the window to snipe that tank is pretty much closed on him now. We'll be having a Reaver follow-up to put on a little bit of harass, as well as have any slowdown on push timings if this was going to be something like a 3-factor play from Sharp. But honestly, this game is going so well for Sharp thus far.
Sharp hasn't lost anything too significant. A tiny slowdown on his CC that was building in the natural, a couple of SCVs here and there, but he's managed to deal a big blow to the economy of YSC and kept his natural timing on curve, and so he's going to have an SCV advantage. Doesn't quite know what the follow-up is here right now from the Protoss player. And in fact, he doesn't have a vulture out on the map to potentially throw down any mines to see if he can spot when that third base might be coming up. So we'll see if he reacts accordingly here. He's just going to have to go on intuition as to what YSC is up to with the follow-up.
That's really clean from Sharp to sacrifice the Vulture to just pick up a quick Dragoon kill there. He's already laid down mines with that Vulture. He doesn't plan on being aggressive and putting down mines at the third to scout and delay that. He knows that's almost impossible with the current game position. So, utilizing that Vulture to soak up some damage and help shave off the shields of the Dragoons while the tanks go to work with those arc-light cannons. Now he's got 3 tanks in position to catch this Reaver harassment in the main base to compensate for the lack of turrets. So this is a really great read from Sharp. He's optimizing pretty efficiently considering the 11 gas opening. Here comes the Goon Reaver combo being laid. Does find one good Scarab connection on that tank. Can he get the second one? That tank's kind of glitched out in the mineral line, but the Scarab duds out after 4 seconds. And YSC not finding the damage necessary to come back in this game with necessary compensation to be comfortable. Does have this third base on the way, but it's quite modestly timed and didn't really find that great of connections with those Scarabs.
Oof, that's almost the end of the game here, guys. Losing the Reaver without doing any damage at all after the early game has gone so poorly. If Sharp doesn't make some really big mistakes, oh god. YSC trips on a rake 3 or 4 times here, but maybe he can actually get a couple kills. 1 tank goes down, being too aggressive with these tanks out on the map. He gets 2. Maybe that's a bit of a swing here that YSC can use to start to bring this game back into his favor. That's a mistake from Sharp for sure, but is it a big enough one?
I think it's definitely putting YSC back into the game. I mean, sometimes you can be a victim of success in StarCraft. You get a really strong lead and you think that, I can get even more and I want to keep snowballing and compounding this advantage. And technically that's what you should do in StarCraft. You're walking a tightrope the majority of the time, and you only play as greedy as you can get away with. And unfortunately for Sharp, he tried to somersault on the tightrope and kind of slipped a little bit and almost fell off it, and as a result gets docked a few points by the judges here and kind of has to go back to the drawing board, because even though he's still in an okay position, he's kind of lost a lot of the tempo he had previously seized, and 2 tanks missing from his arsenal. Now suddenly YSC can put their pressure back on, takes out maybe another tank, not quite finding the connection on that. A little bit of a misstep there from YSC, actually paying the price of an additional Dragoon to kill that tank, and still Sharp finding some pretty reasonable trades despite all of those shenanigans and losing those 2 tanks more or less for free. It does make sense that he's kind of playing middle of the road right now, getting a 4th factory online. He could go all the way up into 5, but 4 would be more than enough to produce enough units to start thinking about taking a 3rd base. And on this version of the map, you can leapfrog to this mineral only by building turrets out on this high ground pizza slice from his rally point, which he may end up needing to do.
Start to slowly leapfrog out into the front. He's got to be very careful right now. If you start to lose a couple more tanks in a spot like this and your 3rd base gets slowed down just that much more, things can start to spiral out of control. He's now at the 10-minute mark, building the CC in his natural. If this CC gets denied, Sharp could lose this game, even though he's played excellent so far. 1 bad engagement for the Terran player can spell doom. It's just avoiding those bad fights, and of course YSC trying to make those happen. Tyson wasn't able to do it. Tyson kind of stumbled over himself as he was fighting, or kind of flailing into the Terran army, but YSC seems a little more graceful here, although there have been moments of stumble, of tripping and falling, a little bit of clumsiness here and there. We'll see if he can right those wrongs and potentially slow down this 3rd base now as Sharp starts to push forward.
Yeah, I do like the setup here from Sharp. He's got a lot of mines, turrets, and that kind of thing in his main base. So if there was any counterattack from the Reaver harass, he would be pretty safe against that. and does allow him to focus the majority of his efforts into taking this third base now, loading this CC over in a few moments here. Has gone up to 6 factory worth of production to about 8 of YSC, so he's aligned quite nicely to keep on par with the Protoss player and have enough forces that he can muster to secure this third base. He probably wants to take that gas expansion as his third, not the mineral only, especially with these high to low ground transitions being closely aligned to YSC here. But it is a bit more of an ask to get the gas expansion. It's easier to leapfrog to the mineral only, but he ideally wants the gas, so he's kind of, taking it a little bit slower as a result, but it's a more valuable expansion and easier to defend ultimately, so it does make sense that he's playing like this.
YSC setting up here on this pizza slice is ready to try and deny that. We're already at the 12-minute mark. There has been a bit of action this game, but you're still on a clock here as the Terran. The third base needs to start sooner rather than later. Looks like it's landing over at center left now, so we'll avoid being delayed any further. Getting that base online, very important, and he will start to really pump up that factory count now. I'm not sure if we're going to see Sharp go into a more upgrade heavy style, or if he's just gonna gear up for one massive 1-1 timing. But before then, YSC gonna try and challenge this third base. This is a very well set up position, but the 2 shuttles here are gonna drop right on top of this. Reaver can't get any shots off. 1 Reaver shot, and that gets targeted. Very good targeting there from Sharp, and this stuff is not coming up the ramp. Everything going to be denied here. Excellent fight for Sharp with that targeting on the Reavers.
Yeah, this is exactly why Sharp was happy to be a little bit more patient to take this gas expansion first. It's just so much more defendable. Now he can take the mineral only as a bit of an afterthought. Once he's won that fight, now he knows he's roughly even in supply after that trade, and we'll be able to be a little bit more audacious in how he spreads out his units. We'll also be able to start sending out vulture raiding parties, mining out the map, trying to slow down any 5th base attempts from YSC, as well as threatening the mineral only probe transfer as well. So really great play from Sharp. He's so cerebral so far in this semi-final series. I've been so impressed by him. I mean, we might not even need Light and Mong to do too much work. If Sharp carries on playing like this, he might just smack everyone down.
It's looking like a possibility. Starport does get dropped, so we'll be going into some of those upgrades a little later on. However, it will indeed be late. That +2 upgrade not going to come online until well past the 16-minute mark. Long after I think Sharp has fully maxed out. He's probably going to end up doing an attack right as that +2 finishes, or maybe even before. He's actually unsieged everything right now, and he's got a bit of an advantage in terms of that supply. Is this the moment to start moving forward and putting the pressure on YSC? Maybe it's time to just take the middle of the map. We've talked so much about how strong a move like that can be. Just locking down that middle makes it so much easier for you to start raiding out on the map with these little vulture parties and sending tanks here and there to start picking off bases that are trying to be taken.
Yeah, he's going to try and take the center of the board right now. You can see all these little cliff faces to bottleneck the Protoss player. Once you get siege tanks entrenched in these lines, it's so difficult for the Protoss to engage without crazy good storms and speed shuttles bombing onto those siege tanks. He's got about 24 siege tanks, a couple of control groups worth of vultures, as well as some Goliath support to snipe those shuttles and keep clearing out observers as he goes to keep his minefields intact. And he's going to rotate around actually towards the rally point of YSC, and he's driving a wedge now between the rally point and the standing army of YSC that's way out of position in the northern hemisphere. Suddenly Sharp in position to snipe this natural third base, as well as start to contain. That's a beautiful storm though on those low ground siege tanks from YSC. We'll do a follow-up Psionic Storm, taking out all 3 of those. With Storm from this high ground position, we'll be able to hold the line against this. And now he's going to start to flank from the north as well. Some speed shuttles starting to dive bomb sellouts on top of these siege tank lines. A lot of these tanks are really clumped up, so YSC can encroach on this forward position and start storming these tanks into oblivion. He might be able to take some favorable trades and start to fight Sharp back. This might be a bit of an overextension from our Terran player, and with how clumped these siege tanks are, it's made it a bit easier for YSC to deal with this cost efficiently. And suddenly, despite it looking like a hopeless endeavor, YSC still in the game, although he's not out of the woods yet. Currently, the base setup does still favor Sharp. It's 4 base Terran to 4 base Protoss. He hasn't yet got a probe transfer up to this 5th base in the top right pocket, and with the production still available to Sharp, we're gonna have a real game on our hands.
Wow. Yeah, one bad fight, we talked about it earlier, one bad fight can completely throw a wrench into the plans for the Terran. I was not expecting for him to fully engage like that, but I feel like Sharp saw an opening. He saw the army at the top side and figured he could take advantage, but YSC fell down upon that army. The tank spread was not good enough, and those storms from the high ground in the natural ended up killing quite a few tanks. Hardly any damage to the economy overall for YSC in that fight. He really didn't take much punishment, even though his army was so far out of position. Sharp, his tank count almost fully reset, is going to fall back, lick his wounds, and get prepared for that +2 timing that's going to come up inevitably.
Yeah, I just want to point out that this is +2 attack upgrades for YSC, but we're still sat on 1-1 upgrades for Sharp, so the Terran is at risk of not trading well enough to make the victory a reality here. He's going to try and push along this horizontal axis and try and see if he can set up well enough that he can continue to trade okay, but he runs the risk of being outscaled by YSC. If he allows any additional bases to be secured, he's going to expand himself now to this little pocket base in the northwest quadrant, while still trying to squeeze and threaten this natural third of YSC and try and knock that out. It's all hands on deck for Sharp. He's almost using this base in the top left as a bait right now, trying to spread the attention of YSC thin. Do I knock out this CC in the top left, or do I stop my own third from dying? And Sharp's just hoping that he can accomplish one of these tasks, and YSC sent a few forces over there to knock out that CC, and now trying to bomb on top of these siege tank lines that are threading this natural third. He's got a massive contingency of Protoss forces in the center of the board, but they've not been brought to bear efficiently yet. This setup from Sharp might be too much for him to handle despite the upgrade deficit.
Yeah, it's surprising that Sharp isn't pushing through the middle, but he's actually making it work for now at least. YSC sent a lot of zealots to try and stop the tanks from hitting this nexus, but the gate has been inevitably opened and vultures are starting to spill through now, getting a lot of kills on these probes. YSC continuing to expand in the top right, and Sharp is stagnant here, not getting any more expansions up just yet. Maybe he's going to try and take that bottom right-hand corner base, or that bottom right base. I guess you'd call it like the 5 o'clock there. It is on screen now. Maybe he takes that base instead. Rare that we see the Terran player taking the bases so close to Protoss, but it is behind the push right now and pretty well defended by what Sharp has in that area. Sending some of his forces over towards this third base, wants to make sure that a counterattack is not possible. Why is he just going to give up his base and can't really get any counterattack? Sharp is still in control here, at least for now.
Yeah, it's still a great position for our Terran player. If YC can somehow keep expanding while shutting down the attempts of Sharp to take his own bases, we have hope here, taking out some of these siege tanks on the periphery. But look at this from Sharp. Eventually he's going to catch up. There's that +2 weapons upgrade for his army. That's a very critical upgrade to ascertain for him. And now he's looking better and better in this game. Now that he's got that upgrade, he's almost got a maxed out army. He's got science vessels moves as well. He'll start trading more and more cost efficiently and really put the hurt onto YSC, especially after knocking out that natural third base. YSC mined out on his main and natural, just down to 3 mining bases, and that third mining base isn't even operational yet that he's taking at the 1 o'clock position. Some storm drops try to go online at the mineral only, very polypoid-esque style of storm drop, trying to, you know, storm over the little high ground from the main base of the Terran player. But those previously placed mines to deal with Reaver harass paid off in major dividends there, eliminating those high Templars where they can even get their spells off set. And this is just looking such a sharp-sided game presently.
A lot of Templar up here on the high ground. It's going to be hard to push in this position. We've seen many Terran players throw games like this, trying to come up into the natural, but that's a great AMP. Still, so many Templar are behind this. Can't quite get up on that high ground to get rid of these Templar just now. Storms are coming up, but they're only hitting 1 or 2 tanks at a time. Where is YSC's army? It's actually up to the north, and coming down through the middle is going to be very hard. That's quite a lot of doodads and cliff faces and all that, blocking the army from making its way smoothly into the Terran force. And so he's just going to stay mobile there on the top side. Sharp moving back into the middle now. This is what I had hoped he would do with that early army, that +1/+1 army that ended up going in towards the natural. Just holding this middle is so powerful on this map, and he is going to set up right along this wall here. Big storms go out on a lot of these tanks. Zealots are being evaporated, though. Just a few Zealots are left over. He will be counterattacking down to this 5 o'clock at the same time, but YSC is losing some ground here, throwing down a few more storms. Looks like these mines are actually going to connect on some of the Templar as well. Zealots coming up to the high ground. I don't think he can push down to these low ground tanks, but he is doing a great job of keeping his bases alive, at least for now. Counterattack moving over towards this mineral only. Can he get some great storms here from the high ground? Nice pull with the SCVs there, keeping the majority of them alive at least.
This is a really crazy game. Sane kind of going tit for tat presently. Did deny mining at that 6 o'clock position for the time being. Hasn't allowed Sharp to knock out his mineral only as well. Really stellar play from YSC. This is Protoss 101, basically playing keep away with the Terran player and trying to circumnavigate as many direct engagements as possible and launching as many counterattacks that are necessary to try and eliminate the economic prowess of the Terran. Sharp, though, still, you know, on fire with his control and unit production, just firing on all cylinders, really starting to apply more and more pressure to different locations now, heading up to this northern hemisphere. Going to be wanting to knock out this base that's freshly made by YSC, and after eliminating that natural third earlier, there's not much left remaining for YSC, so he can't really afford to lose an additional base presently. He has to find compensation. He's going to try and just shove it down with a massive ramming force on this natural mineral only for Sharp presently, and with the Zealot bombs at the tanks at the base in the top right, I mean, this is a really great play from YSC. He could even maybe kill this CC. There's almost no tanks down here, just predominantly mines, Goliaths, and Vultures trying to hold the line. This is kind of wild. Sharp's now in a bit of disarray. Even though the supplies seem to indicate an okay position for Sharp, supplies don't always tell the full story here. We finally have that 3-2 upgrades for Sharp for the long game, but the reality is he's in a bit of a despair right now. He's going to have to consolidate some forces to defend this base in the top left. Single Dragoon taking that CC down to about half HP with the phase disruption shots, and now this is looking like a much more playable game for YSC, but he is losing this base in the top.
Down to 1 base mining there for a little bit. Sharp struggling to get that base in center left. We'll get that operational now and can retake his mineral only as well. He's managed to kill off the base in the top right. I love the move from YSC, and this could be a huge move as well. Catching the army as it's moving over here. Storms, are they going to go down? Nice target on the Templar. Getting rid of those just in the nick of time. Here's the storms now, though. Great EMP goes down, but a lot of storms still hitting here, and the Zealots are still jumping on top of these tanks. So many of these tanks are so low. He actually has to take this fight right now. Running away with the Dragoons, not an option. He needs to finish off these kills. So many of those tanks are in red HP.
This is really wild stuff. Why is he fighting back strong? He hasn't quite gone the distance though. This mining base in that little top left pocket still operational for Sharp. He committed so many forces to keeping that alive and has successfully done so for the time being at least. YSC hasn't got that many more mining bases himself, just 3 versus technically 3 of Sharp, but he's only just got a couple of SCVs at this mineral only currently. Now Sharp also starting to encroach on his base in the top right. Won't necessarily kill it, but he is going to draw a lot of the attention from YSC up there while he's going to attempt some vultures getting down into this bottom right base and clearing out some of the probes there, trying to do as much economic damage as possible to YSC. He knows that the Protoss is operating on fumes right now. Here comes another counterattack from YSC with some speed shuttles in the top left with a storm drop. Does get a massive storm connections on those 2 lines of siege tanks, as well as some of the SCVs. Doesn't find a follow-up storm to eliminate the tank line there on the left-hand side, but that's really great targeting from Sharp, non-stop, eliminating those high Templars whenever they do pop out of the shuttles, and that's been keeping him in this game. That great target firing of Sharp doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah, the target fire has been on point throughout the entirety of this series. Sharp nailing those Templars the moment they pop out of the shuttles. YSC has been able to get maybe half of his actual storms out that he made with the combination of the EMP plus the sniping. It's just been a nightmare for Sharp for YSC trying to get some value out of those Templar. Now pushing down here from the high ground, might be able to kill the command center. That command center getting really low. Big mine connection there though. 4 Dragoons for a command center. Not too bad, actually. YSC, I think, will take that.
Oh, he kind of needs to take that, because currently 3 bases versus 3 if he didn't. So now it's, 3 bases versus 2. Much more reasonable position for the Protoss to be in. Sharp, though, still has a bit of an entrenched position on this northern hemisphere. They're able to threaten counterattacks at this base in the top right, as well as lock out additional expansions from coming online for YSC. So YSC yet again going to come over here and try and clean this up, but doing so the majority of his forces opens him up to another counterattack from Sharp. He's got some vultures down on this 6 o'clock position ready to run in to that natural third gas expansion to potentially kill some of those probes in a moment here. He's actually going to just push across, take his mineral only, and be a bit more tentative. He doesn't want to waste too many of his units, I suppose. If he does keep vulture raiding all game long, he runs the risk of bleeding himself dry. He needs a lot of standing army to buffer for his siege tanks to do the work that is necessary to keep trading.
I think he's just realized if he attacks that base down at bottom right and YSC gets another base in the top side, he's just going to be able to transfer probes and still be okay. If Sharp, though, loses that base in top left, he is going to be out of luck. He's got almost no money coming in, so he rotates his army to counter, and he does hold on to that base there, so holding still this 1/3 of the map, even a little bit more than that with the base down at 6 o'clock. If you can get that set up here soon, you'll be able to take more than half, or more than 1/3, excuse me, of the map, and that's more than enough to stop YSC in this game, as long as he doesn't allow him to take the main over at the top side of the map. If that main base is continued to be denied here, eventually YSC is going to mine out. You can see his mineral patch is getting lower and lower. He's just got that fresh base over in top right, but Sharp is already moving in this direction to prevent any more bases from being taken.
Yeah, this is a great play from Sharp. He just needs to lock out YSC from ever taking this other main base in the top left, as well as the natural expansion and mineral only there. He can now start to split the map asymmetrically and just lock down this main pizza slice at the 12 o'clock location, and not only force favorable trades there, but like I say, just stop any expansions coming out from the Protoss player, and he will eventually find a game-winning position as a result. A lot of D-matrixes that could go down. That's a massive EMP hitting about 7 or 8 Dragoons as well, softening them up for the fight to come. YSC cannot engage this army head-on. He's going to have to rotate around and either counterattack or just play keep away for the time being. Sharp looks like he's still in a phenomenal position. He hasn't got a lot of mining bases, but Inversely, YSC struggling to muster much of an economy himself now. Just that one mining base, like you were talking about. If he can keep control of this high ground pizza slice at 12 o'clock, it's going to be so hard for YSC. He's going to try and drive a wedge between that position and the center, clear out the mines, and then try and maybe open up this position to keep expanding.
Sending some Templar to drop top left would be insanely powerful for YSC right now. He's not really doing it, but there's almost all the SCVs that Sharp has at that base. There's a few over at the mineral only, but that base was already quite low on minerals from all the mining earlier on, and so the saturation top left is insanely high, and we already saw him drop a storm over there a little bit earlier. Oh, he's gonna lose a Templar there as well. And so a lot of those SCVs are low, but he hasn't followed it up yet. Now gonna dive on top of a couple of tanks that are just at the periphery of the Terran force. Bringing forward these shuttles. Now, is he gonna go for an all-in attack? It would be a pretty risky maneuver. That's a lot of tanks in the back line. Taking this pizza slice at the bare minimum is strong, and dropping a bunch of storms down here. YSC can back up now and potentially take over 12 o'clock.
Yeah, it's a great attempt to try and dematrix that tank. He let it survive the storm, but he actually might lose this CC here. Does take out the shuttle for a little bit of compensation. Oh, the SCV might get there. He might just barely save it. 3, he does save it. Oh, that was so close. Oh, if YSC had just shot one more time on that, he would have finished it off. Now we can float that over and eventually take the mineral only once he's secured these pizza slices. And he can not only lock YSC from taking these bases, but start to expand himself and kind of defend while attacking in a way. Rather than taking the 6 o'clock base, he can consolidate all of the majority of his forces to this northern hemisphere now, and go to the super late game phase where it seems like YSC might just fizzle out of this game if he can't accomplish much positionally from this point onwards.
Going down to potentially shut down at 6 o'clock. It seems like YSC counterattack is on the way. He might be able to force Sharp to react to this. There's not a whole lot in the rally point, and if he forces the reaction, then maybe there's an opportunity to catch the army while it's moving, you know, get some good storms from the high ground like what we're about to see here. Storming on that army and now pushing forward. Can he get these unbelievably strong storms that'll help him to win this upcoming fight? Doesn't look like it. Sharp sitting back on the high ground and just blasting through these Dragoons without much Zealot support. Templar are great, but they're not a replacement for Zealots.
Yeah, I mean, this is a nice idea from YSC. It's just not great enough. And even Sharp sniping some of those Templars with his vultures. The writing is on the wall for our Protoss player. I feel like my previous assessment will come to pass. I don't think there's much in this game for YSC positionally anymore. The setup from Sharp is just so good. You might catch a few of these tanks in the middle in their transition, but not even being able to secure that, it seems. Another High Templar biting the dust to a mine, and these drips and drabs of losses are really going to start to amount to an almost untenable position now for YSC. He's got no way of getting up here to this northwest quadrant of the map and shutting out Sharp from taking these bases for himself, which is essentially a checkmate move. It's not like Sharp has to do anything. He can literally just sit here, take these bases, and force YSC to come to him for some unfavorable trades. YSC down to his last mining base and his last Hail Mary, trying to break onto the high ground with this main Dragoon force, but there's not a lot of supporting units trying to dive bomb onto the siege tank line with some Zealots, a couple of High Templars to storm those, but look at that target firing from Sharp. It's ridiculous how many of these High Templars he's sniping before their spells can even be cast. It looks like there might be enough left in the main standing army of YSC to get some more and more storms off for these backline tanks, but I don't think it's going to be enough to chew through the rest of it. Now he's pretty much failed, and we'll have to GG out of this game, saying what a well executed win condition here from Sharp. GG is called, and Sharp on an all-kill trajectory right now, looking unstoppable.
Time to bring out the big guns. Mini takes the stage bottom left, and Sharp over here in top right. Eclipse. Probably the hardest map in PvP. And Mini going to be sending out his early probe to go ahead and steal that gas. Everything's lined up here for Mini to take this game and start to reverse the tides here. Start to put things back into the Protoss favor. But if Sharp wins this, I tell you what, I think we're going to see a Terran all kill. We're going to see a Sharp all kill in this week. Oh, what? Okay. Wow.
He's crazy. I mean, now there is a way that Sharp can pull additional SCVs and just kill these gateways as they're being built in his face. The problem with that is Mini can also bring additional probes to throw off the calculation of Sharp. So if he does pull a bunch of SCVs to kill that, the reality is that 1 or 2 probes might come to then, you know, stop those SCVs from killing the gateway just before the Zealot pops out anyway. And that might come to pass. There's those additional probes. There's 3 additional probes being pulled, and that's the game plan here, to force the Terran player to pull like 5 or 6 SCVs or whatever it is to kill this gateway. And he's got it calculated that he'll kill this gateway just before the Zealot pops out, but the probes arriving in the nick of time will then buy a little bit of extra production for that Zealot to still squeeze out regardless.
Yeah, and also he blocked on the ramp too. The block on the ramp was pretty sick. He prevented those 3 SCVs from coming down for a little bit. Now the probes are here. He's trying to target this down, but the 4 probes deal a lot of DPS. Can he actually save this? It's so close. Oh my god. 9 HP. There it is. He kills it. Unreal. I would love to see how close that Zealot was to popping out.
Mini even tried to glitch out the SCV by drilling the probe. Wasn't successful in doing so. Really well done from Sharp. Is this Sharp or Flash? Like, what is even happening, Sam? This is just mind-boggling how well he's playing. Does get that gas steal belatedly, but Sharp's not too concerned about that. He's already forced a big investment from Mini. The game's not technically over, but this is kind of like a failed 8 racks. You're not feeling too good about it afterwards. You didn't kill the prerequisite amount to make the compensation a reality. I mean, the gas steal is still great though. That's gonna, you know, really hinder Sharp's range of play. So there's no way he can get a quick vulture out to threaten Mini, who's gonna be gasless for some time as well. So, I mean, the game will go on. We'll have a playable game for Mini. I think this is slightly sharp-sided, but it's not over for Mini. Like, there is a way of making a game out of this. It's just going to be tough.
Well, it would be slightly Sharp-favored if he just killed the gateway with the SCVs, but Mini also pulled 4 probes, man. He pulled 4 probes all the way across the map, didn't save the gateway, and then went all the way back as well. I don't think he killed a single SCV either. I didn't see one go down. Excellent, excellent juggling from Sharp. Pulling out the SCVs that were getting low and then sending in more SCVs one by one to keep that DPS high enough to kill the gateway on time. That was supremely well calculated, and now he's got the exact number of Marines to just deny this Zealot, and he's going to have that factory on the way here. He's got better tech, he's got a better economy, he's got more units. Everything is going well for Sharp here. It's going to take a lot for Mini to come back in this game. Not saying it's impossible, but this is a tough spot, and Mini knows it. He is looking for some sort of cheap win. Let's see what he can do. Maybe a DT play here, some sort of crazy follow-up to try and get one over on Sharp.
I think the biggest hurdle for Mini is not just the deficit of the early game, but also just the emotional well-being of this player. He is prone to tilting when things don't go his way. So he's kind of playing against himself in the ultimate fashion right now. He needs to just, you know, stay level-headed and focus on what needs to be done. Does get a couple of punches onto that scouting SCV. every little bit is going to help a lot for him in this game. He did delay the gas of the Terran players significantly, but he's behind in pretty much every other metric right now. The economy will be better for the Terran. He'll eventually have more production as well. I mean, look, the core is finishing at 5 minutes 10. It's like such a dire situation for the Protoss player. Has got his own expansion up and will try and play catch up. We'll technically have a playable game to operate on, but Sharp with this lead, I mean, it's so crazy that he's been able to do what he's been able to do today. Mini is an ideal candidate for a map like Eclipse. He's an optimizer, min-maxy kind of player in terms of his style, and a two-player map like this is ideal for Mini to guarantee game states and, you know, make calculations accordingly. But Sharp's still been able to smack him down like it's nothing. It's kind of ridiculous the level of domination we're seeing from Sharp here today. Pretty good micro as well. Needs to retreat back to the safety of that bunker. However, does take out one of those zealots and now can put the hurt on. Wants to be careful not to extend too much with these forces. One punch goes down onto that vulture. There's Dragoon about to join the party and try and help out. Mini, though, not finding enough damage done to these units with the zealots, and now the Dragoon will be bullied away. This is just crazy how good Sharp is playing today, Sam.
It's really handling everything just extremely well. Exceptionally well is the word I was looking for. Does lose the vulture, though. That vulture kind of key. Want to keep that thing alive. Could have sent it over to the top left-hand corner, maybe get a mine out on the 4th. Really wanted to get that mine on the 3rd, though, or at least confirm whether or not there was a nexus coming up early here, but unable to get that mine out, and so losing the first vulture, it is painful. Mini should be able to get this 3rd base up. His tech, everything's been delayed, but this is still Eclipse. We got to keep that in mind. There's still a lot of opportunities for counterattacks and for Protoss players to snag wins against Terrans that make ill-conceived move-outs. We'll see if Sharp becomes a victim of that, because we've seen him play some great DVPs on this game. One in particular comes to mind. I can't remember who the opponent was, but he was in this position in top right, and he just slowly eked over towards that top left-hand corner, took those 4 bases or 5 bases and held it down until the Protoss had to leave the game, and it was pretty impressive to say the least.
I mean, sometimes you got to do it, say, and especially if you're, you know, the Terran race and you can't go for some crazy timing attack. Sometimes a play like that is just, you know, more than necessary, and definitely not a cheesy one either. Sometimes that's exactly what you need to do as Terran. We'll be going up to 5 factories to provide him ample production to either put on pressure and or take this 3rd base at a reasonable time. Mini's got a little bit of obfuscation now. Sharp doesn't know if this is going to be, you know, like a 2-base tech play or a fast 3rd base. Yeah, he's just now finished his academy, so we'll add those comsats and start to figure out exactly what Mini wants to go for here. Because of that vulture being taken out, oh, this is nice from Sharp, finding this probe here on the right-hand side. He does get the spotter pylon down, just in case it was going to be vulture drops, but I mean, any pickup for Sharp here is just icing on the cake. He does finally scan the main, sees the timing of that robotic support bay, sees no hidden tech in the natural as well. He's scanning for hidden tech from Mini. He's concerned about some kind of 2-base play catching him off guard, and doesn't see anything, so he's pretty confident that this is going to be a 3rd base from Mini despite not actually seeing it yet.
Slowly pushing out on the front. Oh boy, that's a lot of Dragoons making their way to the front, but great siege up here. Means that Mini's not going to be able to get too many kills, just the 1 tank kill at the periphery. And forced back once again. This is a lot of factories. Sharp really favoring this style of play, getting out a ton of early game units and delaying that +1 by quite a, or that +2, excuse me, by quite a bit. Relying on just +1/1 and masses of tanks and vultures to get the job done. Pushing forward even further. Is this really going to be for an attack across the map, or are we seeing a 3rd base in Sharp's near future?
I think this is an attack initially. He might try and expand behind it, attacking while defending. But for the time being, this is just predominantly an attack, say, to put a lot of pressure. He's pretty confident after seeing the robotic support bay timing that the Reavers will be a little bit lagging behind, so he'll at least get the high ground control to fight with. And that's the main thing here from Sharp. The Reaver's finally out, but he has got this high ground. That's a nice Scarab connection to start things off, though, for Mini. Sharp starting to force the issue, sieging closer and closer. Mine's going down on top of that Reaver. That's another pretty good Scarab hit, but he's not found any kills yet. Now he might start to be able to with more and more Scarab connections. Can he get another big monstrous connection? Oh, the Zealot kind of body blocks that Scarab a little bit there and doesn't really find the damage necessary. Vulture's starting to encroach on the rally point, forces a collapse of those Dragoons back down towards his base and opens up the position for a faster push timing now for Sharp, seizing the high ground away from Mini, laying down mines in the wake of these Dragoons as well. Really well executed attack here from Sharp, but does have mines on top of his own siege tanks right now. It's a shame Mini can't get this shuttle on top of those tanks. Right now that Goliath paying dividends, doesn't find the connection on that shuttle to finish off those. I've got one shot left, but Sharp still somehow, some way making this attack work, but he is dwindling in his forces.
Making the right choice here, I would say. Sharp turns around and heads back home while taking a third on location. Starport is started. He knows that he's not going to be able to get the job done here. Mini is going to be able to take his fourth, and so Sharp needs to keep on curve. Will get this probe and almost gets the Reaver as well. Very close there. Taking one of those mines, but dodging the other. Reaver dangerously low. He will be able to prevent these Vultures from getting any further damage, but at least denying the fourth for now. Sharp's going to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I'm just hoping Mini doesn't tilt. Like, the biggest risk factor is that Mini gets really frustrated with this game and plays a little bit worse. Mini needs to carry his team right now. He needs to dig deep psychologically, let none of this bother him, and just focus on the win condition, taking more bases, counter-attacking Sharp when necessary, and just trying to slow down the Terran's own production and expansion warpath right now. Sharp will be eyeing up this fourth base pretty quickly. He won't take it right this second, but within the next like 2 minutes or so, he's going to be wanting to take the high ground and really start to ramp up his own expansion, so that there's a lot of pressure on Mini to be offensive, and that will simplify the game state for Sharp. Forcing the Protoss to be aggressive means you can defend more and find more favorable trades. Mini's going to be super active with these speed shuttles to get the job done. Has had a little bit of issues with his control thus far. He's going to have to play more Snow-esque with that unit control and micro to get one over Sharp in this game, who's looking so fantastic in this series overall.
It's becoming a more standard game on Eclipse. Sharp still has a bit of an advantage with that even supply, but his upgrades are going to be late, and maybe there can be a lot of damage right now. Drops coming into the main base. He's flying over a lot of turrets with 2 Reavers. Can he get some big connections here? Oh, the SCVs! Great block there with the second Vulture. Only a few kills initially with these Reavers. Can he get the Armory as well? Armory is being targeted right now, but not by the Reavers, just by the Zealots, and that Armory will live for the time being. He could have absolutely gotten the denial on that. Oh, one more shot! 12 HP, he gets it. Huge kill there.
Oh, that's a really big pickup. He's now going to be stuck on 1-1 upgrades. That was the +2. Now Mini has some options available to him. We'll see a game like we did on Dominator, where Sharp's not finding the cost-efficient trades. That Goliath could snipe those shuttles. They're so dangerously low. Siege tank hit does barely get in range of popping that Reaver as it tries to launch another attack vector on that mineral line. Both of those being taken out. A dropship sharking around for Sharp as well, trying to find a little bit of a counter drop harassment of his own, but Mini's now being proactive and does spot that dropship, so knows about the active threat of that. Will be able to respond appropriately and try and deny some counter damage for Sharp from occurring. He's actually going to intercept the dropship. That's pretty big for Mini. He doesn't quite find the kill on that though. And yeah, with these upgrades being what they are, I don't know if Mini will find it easy necessarily. necessarily, but that's a really big relief, I think, for him, that Sharp won't just be able to trade super cost efficiently. And now Mini just needs to keep expanding, try and keep Sharp on 3 bases and defend against this harassment, and he'll be in okay position. This is not necessarily favoriting Mini at all here, but this is definitely becoming a slightly more playable game for him.
I don't know, man. Mini's Scarabs are on a diet or something. Those things are able to slip through such a tight gap with the supply depots behind the mineral line. I really thought they were going to bug out, but slipping through and getting the kill on that armory was a huge moment. But Sharp is pushing across with a higher supply. He just needs to be prepared for any of these counterattacks. Getting ready for the counterattacks, very important. He's actually heading off this Dragoon army, gonna catch it with the vultures, try to get mines on top of this. Something that Sharp does better than anyone else in the world is get on top of the army with his vultures. Now getting this drop off as well at the third. Storms at the natural, though. So much action going on this map right now. The Storms are going to get some SCV kills, but this army is still massive shut. It's moving directly towards Mini's army. No more counterattacks can be had.
Yeah, this is so much damage done at this natural third of Mini. Sharp with this main battle force really starting to drive the nails into the coffin for Mini and maybe even the Protoss. Well, that's a beautiful storm, though, from Mini, fighting back strong, trying to surge now forward to take out some of these tanks. Beautiful D-Matrix comes out on top of that forward siege tank, holding the line for the siege tanks in the rear to try and support. But they're a little bit out of position, so Mini will at least scoop up one additional kill. Does lose a few Dragoons, struggling to keep attention on everything right now. A little bit of moment of chaos erupting, and as you know from watching Game of Thrones, chaos is a ladder for either one of these guys to climb. Mini head in supply for the first time in a while, has 5 bases worth of mining, hasn't yet got this 4th base, does Sharp, but it is on the way. Mini with the observer there could now rotate around, try and challenge this 4th base, and that's definitely a win condition for him. But Sharp inversely has isolated an idea here. While he's distracted coming to get my 4th, I can try and knock out his 5th down here in the bottom right pocket. There's not enough forces to bear for Mini to easily defend against that while trying to knock out this CC. There's a shuttle making its way, maybe with some High Templars, but the Vultures charging forward to snipe those High Templars. Look at how proactive Sharp is. He's definitely got high-level game theory here, anticipating the moves of Mini ahead of time, and going for the most optimal play at every junction when possible. It looks like he will be knocking out this Nexus in the bottom right. Now it's back to 3 bases versus 4. The supplies seem to indicate an okay state for Mini, but positionally this is still technically Sharp favored. Mini in a little bit of trouble. The only thing going for him is how slow the upgrades are for Sharp. He's going to have to keep trading and keeping this game as chaotic as possible. It's kind of Mini's only hope right now. Like when you're playing Crazy Zerg against Mech, you kind of just have to keep throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks and keeping the Terran spread as thinly as possible.
Another drop could be coming in here. Mini still building Reavers, very Snow-esque, keeping those going. But can he get the value out of them while all this chaos is happening? Did the Nexus actually fall in bottom right? I thought that actually did die. Okay, it did fall, and it's been rebuilt. Mini down to just 2 bases, maybe a little mining going on in the natural and main, and likewise Sharp. I mean, he's got something going on in the natural here. We haven't gotten a mineral check for a little while, but there is still a slight bit of minerals there. He needs to get this 4th base online. Maintaining 2 base mining is so important in this matchup for the Terran player. You gotta stay on at least 2 bases, or you're just gonna start to fall further and further behind. You cannot continue to produce, and he's still in the midst of making his upgrades here at 9 minutes. So that +3 upgrade, it costs a lot of money. He is stretched very thin at the moment, and he's slowly moving up towards this 4th base, while Mini taking multiple bases on the map, that bottom right and top left at the same time.
Yeah, this is a bit of an ambitious base here from Mini, but it is kind of crazy Zerg style, where you're kind of double expanding on opposite corners of the map and hoping one of them will survive. And it does force the Terran to allocate a lot of resources and units and destroying that, opening up other avenues of attack for the Protoss player, encroaching on this rally point. A few depots and mines with a turret, as well as a lot of siege tanks trying to buffer and hold their line. Zealot bombing comes out to some of those tanks, but it's just not enough for Mini to make that an eventuality that's worthwhile. And unfortunately, starting to fizzle out a little bit in these trades. Mini in a tiny bit of trouble. That's a pretty good storm drop from him. He needs to keep finding anything to go his way right now. And these little storm drops here and there might be the way to launch a comeback here. Sometimes the best way to damage the Terran is indirectly. You can't always trade well with the Terran force, but you can keep siphoning off their economy more and more as the time progresses.
Yeah, not a bad move there, but you see Sharp again sniping those Templars during the fight. Every single time Mini tries to drop a Templar, it's getting sniped. Sharp is doing a fantastic job at that, limiting the damage that can come out. And now he's getting into this spot again. What I talked about at the beginning of this game. We saw him do this before, snaking up into the top left and just daring Mini to come at him. He did do an attack or two, which we didn't see in that previous game. Not doing that full turtle mode, but now he's in that position once again where he could just slowly but surely start to take over these bases. And Protoss coming up this ramp is insane. Oh my gosh, Mini. Oh my gosh, do not try to ram it up this ramp. I know that Protoss love to do stuff like this, but that is not the time.
Yeah, this is definitely on ape mode moment. He needs to get his bowler cap on and keep his IQ as high as possible to have any chance of winning this game. He needs to remain cerebral. This is a great position for Sharp. He's just playing like an absolute monster today. He's going to start ramming it down himself on this northwest corner of the map. Mini taking this other base in the bottom right as compensation, while forcing all of the attention of Sharp here in the top left might help him out. This base in a way is just to slow down Sharp's own expansion and delay this fifth for as long as possible, but I don't think it's going to pay off enough here for Mini. Sharp's really cutting him down to size with razor-like position, saying the target firing has been out of this world. Those are some pretty good storms, but there's a lot of energy on these vessels that's been churning out D-matrixes along the way and really shutting down the trade potential of this Protoss player who's been bullied back now out of this corner in the top left. And I don't know, man, the hopes of Mini are starting to dry up. He has got a decisional base coming up in the bottom right, but once Sharp establishes this corner base of double gas, eventually this is a game-winning position for the Terran player. You can also knock out the gas of this natural fourth base from the low ground. I mean, everything is just so high level here for Sharp. He's even getting to a position to maybe snipe the Nexus as well as the gas. Mini just doesn't have enough forces to be allocated to stop that. He's going on a counter attack right now, but this is definitely a bit more of a Hail Mary desperation move from Mini. He needs to kill like 12 SCVs at least to make this even remotely worth it. Does find some pretty good storms, saying, but I mean, losing this base in the natural fourth does still hurt.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We didn't get a mineral check on that. I think it's pretty low. Yeah, this base still looks kind of healthy. Some of those resources have been sucked up. It was the fourth base originally for Mini, but you would like to keep that alive. He does still need to mine that out, and even then it's going to be hard to win. You got to mine this base though. With the bases in the bottom right and Sharp takes top left, it's a grindy game. That's some good damage. Oh my goodness, a lot of SCVs go down here, and so you know what, maybe there's a shot. Sharp cannot
think so.
hold this low ground, and he's going to lose this CC in the top left. Suddenly, things starting to fall apart for Sharp.
Yeah, Sharp's looking a little bit shaky all of a sudden, and that was a lot of damage that ramped up for Mini in such a short space of time. It seems like he didn't tilt after all and was able to remain focused, and this Nexus still alive at a natural fourth is really going to help him out. Sharp's going to be desperate to launch an attack vector to try and finish that off, giving Mini more trade potential. This is some beautiful Sonic Storms as well, blanketing those siege tanks. A lot of Zealots remaining to keep trading as well. Eventually, Sharp looks like he might barely have enough to knock out this Nexus, unfortunately for Mini, but this is a great comeback potential for our Protoss player. He's got a few units streaming up from the production line, trying to hold off Sharp, but Sharp does manage to get the kill execution on that Nexus. Now has the high ground advantage. Shuttle goes down as well, taking away mobility and utility of that Protoss force. Sharp needs to establish this base in the top left in the next couple of minutes. Mini knows it as well. There's a drop coming in for Sharp as well in the bottom right. There's no forces nearby besides some Zealots on the other side of the base. This is so annoying for Mini. He will be able to clean that out with some Zealots, but not before losing a lot of probes. Mini desperate to get some counter damage with his own drops.
Reavers here was not what Sharp was expecting. You could see him surrounding that drop location with his vultures, expecting a Templar to pop out there, but the Reavers can actually deny this for quite some time. Tanks are going to be set up over at that fourth base, and so he can't bring the Reavers over there, but he can continue to deal damage here in the main base. He start to pick off some big some buildings, maybe some clumps of supply depots. That's possible. I mean, it's going to take a long time. Wow, he even gets rid of that DT. He's going to be able to clear out that base as well. Mini, I mean, he's denied top left, but he's being denied in bottom right as well. It's such a tight game right now, Shun.
My mouth is literally hanging open. I don't even know how Sharp has the task switching to identify there's a Dark Templar there and he needs to scan. He's playing out of his mind, and Mini was fighting back strong. And regardless of how well Mini was playing for a moment there, Sharp is still making it happen. I mean, what is even going on right now? What kind of, like, you know, different parallel universe did we wake up in today, saying? Because Sharp is looking like one of the best Terrans on the planet all of a sudden. It's seriously out of this world crazy what he's been able to do. And Mini killed so many of those SCVs, denied that base in the top left, and was looking strong with the trades, battling back against Sharp. And despite all that and the supplies drying up for a Terran player, he's still in this game in a commanding position. Mini now the one fizzling out yet again after losing that base in the bottom right. He's trying to reestablish this natural fourth location, but it's a pretty simple idea for Sharp to knock out this fourth base while taking this top left for himself. So the game state is becoming simpler for our Terran rather than more complex for Mini, who's now trying to, you know, do somersaults on tight ropes just to get done what needs to be done.
Tit for tat back and forth between these guys. It never seems to end. Killing off each other's workers and then trading bases, and we've come to this very awkward moment here where Sharp is gearing up on his fourth base and should soon be looking towards that top left-hand corner. Mini is in a situation where he is, of course, wanting to deny that, but also trying to get the base in bottom right and secure that against any future drops. Now diving on top of here, I'm not sure this is the right call. Mini trying to push into the fourth base. Is he actually going to be able to make it through? These are some great Reaver hits, and there are some more Zealots coming up in behind this. He does drag a mine into that force, but as the Zealots wear thin, he will be forced back. I'm not sure about that one, Shun. I thought that he would wait until Sharp tried to take top left and then maybe counterattack the fourth or counterattack the third, go for the natural, or just try to, you know, dislodge him from that top left. But everything for Sharp was concentrated at that fourth base, and he just rammed it down. Now 30 supply behind with what was an even supply game.
Yeah, I would bet money on the fact that Mini probably tilted his head and sighed with anger quite a few times in the last couple of minutes. The game slipped through his fingers. For a moment there, it was looking like he was actually going to make a comeback and outmaneuver Sharp in this game, but it's looking less and less likely now. The writing's on the wall for Mini. It's kind of insane what Sharp is able to do. Even when the game state doesn't favor him, he's still fighting strong. It's not like he's just playing from a position of advantage non-stop. He's really playing out of his mind here today, and he definitely might be on track for that all-kill prize. It's a very valiant effort from Mini. He still has a contingency of forces making its way downtown through the center lane, trying to find the chinks in the armor of Sharp, who's slightly out of position, but Sharp, being very fluid with his army, rotating around with a few tanks and bringing the rest of his forces to bear. Mini trying to get top of these tanks while he still can. There's some pretty good storms, but it's just not enough for Mini to go the distance. It's great ideas, it's great game plans, but unfortunately, he's in a position now where he can't muster enough forces to get what needs to be done. And now it looks like Sharp's just going to slowly but surely run away with the rest of this game.
Yeah, this seems like a frustration moment for Mini. He could have retaken bottom right and just waited for Sharp to try and move on that top left, but now he's going to be running out of money. He's almost mined out center left. Fourth base is going to mine out soon, and there it is. GG. Sharp takes down Mini on Eclipse. That is crazy. He really wants that all-killed prize today, Sean.
Oh, he absolutely does, and it's really wild stuff. Like, you called it. If he was able to be Mini on Eclipse, he's probably getting that all-kill prize. I think that may come to pass.
Mr. Motivation spawning in the top right-hand corner. Will he be able to stop the reign of terror of Sharp, taking down Mini on Eclipse? I gotta say, incredibly impressive. Handling his business and shutting down Templar better than I've ever seen any Terran player do it.
Yeah, no, it's really ridiculous. He's been on a different level today, saying there is still that revive left in the pocket of the Protoss squad. They can bring back Mini. Mini might be able to get a reverse all kill here. It's certainly possible. We've seen crazier things, so even if there's not enough motivation left for this guy to take on this monster, there's still a little bit of hope left for the Protoss squad. We've seen crazier things in KCM, like you were saying, in between games. Like, it definitely could occur.
I wonder if Mini's even feeling up to the revive after that game. It's hard to remember that started with a gateway, a proxy gateway right in front of Sharp's natural, but it really went the distance. Crazy long game there, tons of back and forth, and Sharp ultimately came out on top. And now here we are with Motivation not opening Nexus first despite being on Radeon.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting. I guess he's just worried about the 11 gas potential from Sharp. He knows that Sharp likes to go for 11 gas so much, and that might be a consideration here. And sometimes that can be an advantage as well as a Terran player. If you're known as an aggressive Terran that likes to throw down that 11 gas, I mean, you can kind of stop your opponent from being too greedy just by representing that potential. And we might be seeing that here with Motive. A little bit too hesitant to be super greedy against someone who's as razor sharp like this Terran is.
Yeah, another 11 gas here, a 223 factory is lightning fast, and Sharp just makes such good use of these early vultures. Why not get it as early as possible? I like the thinking behind this, and he's been making it work time and time again, making that small sacrifice of early SCV production seem completely worth it. But Motive has managed to circumnavigate this initial Marine. He has not seen this Vulture moving southward, and so might be a little surprised here as it makes its way into the natural. Just the Vulture's going to be out so quick.
Right.
Will he even be able to delay the factory at all? No. Factory's done. Vulture's about to pop out, man. This is just such a fast Vulture. I would be surprised if this got anything done and didn't just straight up die to the Vulture immediately.
I mean, he might get a Marine or an SCV, but it's unlikely. Yeah, I mean, the Vulture coming out 5 seconds quicker means this Zealot needs to start running back to the safety of the Dragoon right now. Even a few extra Ghost Rifle hits on this Zealot kind of spells disaster. Oh, bit of miss micro there from Motive, blocking his own Zealot as well. And already Sharp finding an ever slight advantage in this game. He definitely seems on a different level today. And he has such confidence, probably. The wind at his back, surging forward, gets away of not even needing to make a bunker right now. Can optimize to his heart's content. Just throw down that CC on the low ground without even thinking about the bunker for the time being. Although Motive has an opportunity to come in here with these 2 Dragoons, start to challenge this, because Sharp is being greedy, so maybe Motive can make this work with some good micro. Now that Sharp's being a little bit greedy and trying to min-max by cutting that bunker, suddenly Motive can go on the offensive, kill a lot of these Marines off, and then maybe get a cancel on this CC even.
Oh gosh, this is a scary moment. Really getting way too greedy here. Sharp is expecting a faster Nexus, and it's not on the way. It's Motive making these early Dragoons and putting on that pressure. Forced back up the ramp. The CC's still alive for now, and the tank will be popping out here soon, but this is a serious violation here from Sharp. Did manage to save the Vulture and has mines finished now, and so if these Dragoons try to come in, he's really going to eat a lot of damage, but just testing the waters there. Motive rolls in, checks, sees the mine, and will be able to back out safely, only taking a little bit of shield damage.
Yeah, some of you guys might have been a bit confused about, well, why didn't Motive just try and get the cancel on the CC there? It's because of how low HP this one Dragoon was. You saw how quickly it just died to the tank there. And with the 11 gas, he knew the timing of that tank would be a little bit crisper than usual. And suddenly, even without that becoming eventually, he does search forward regardless. Might lose that tank though. That's a nice pickup from Motive. Definitely finding compensation for those Dragoon losses now. Sharp needs to be careful. You can't afford to lose your early tanks in this position. He's gonna have to sit back and play very defensive for now.
I think you said it before, a victim of his own success, perhaps? Getting pretty greedy there, trying to push across the map with just the single tank. He knew that that one Dragoon was super low, and he got the kill on that. But still wanted more after. The greed is a little bit next level this game, but it's warranted. Sharp has been playing absolutely out of his mind, and you know, pushing his luck here even further. Maybe that's what he needs to get the all-kill prize.
Oh, he's so crazy though. I don't like this move up from the tank. I think the Sharp's making a bit of a blunder here. I don't know how, but he's somehow gonna get this tank up to the Nexus. What is even happening in this game right now? It's like we're watching a bugged replay. We're not, but it's almost, it seems like it because of how crazy the army movements are right now. This tank is technically exposed, but he has walled in himself to protect himself from these vultures. He's actually going to kill the observatory. It's actually kind of insane. The 2 gateways, though, do body block, and the Dragoons starting to shark from the behind to clutch out this force of Terran necessarily. And this is definitely a bit of an overextension now from Sharp. He did kill the observatory, but at what cost? He's lost most of his forces. Motive definitely has a big window to shut down this Terran player who's been on fire, and now the hopes of that all-kill prize starting to slip through the fingers of Sharp.
That was crazy. That was wild. Just the tank going past the Dragoons there initially, like 2 ships passing in the night. Really a surprise there. Coming up on these probes. Wait, 2 missed shots there? Is that what did I just see that? Oh, the mine connection! Oh, wow. Oh, getting nothing. And incredibly bad luck there initially. Sharp gets the mine connection he was needing and kills quite a lot of probes.
Yeah.
That was a wacky trade, and this is just becoming an insane game. I'm not sure who's ahead at this point. I feel like it's still Motive in advantage. I don't know how many probes were killed there, though. It's got to be at least 5.
Yeah, it was, and I think this game is now starting to become even as a result. If those probes don't go down, I think there's a fairly big edge for Motive, but losing like 5 additional probes to that mine drag, I mean, he's not in a bad position. He's still, set up pretty nicely. But now it's much more even, say. There might be a few percentile points still in the pocket of Motive to work with. But I would say that definitely resets the balance a lot.
I hope you're right. I hope we get a nice game between these two. Sharp, he's going to have to work for this one, guys. He's going to have to work real hard for this all-kill prize. 1,200,000 won on the table. All he needs to do is reach out and take it. Can he make it happen here? Or will his hand be slapped down by Motive? So far, Motive struggling to get this 4th base online. I thought he would take that a little sooner, considering how much money he had banked up and how many tanks he's killed initially, but he's been denied from that for now. Moving slowly over towards that top right. The signature Sharp vulture play is working out beautifully. He catches another probe heading to top left. This is just awesome Sharp-esque play. Catching that probe again and again is shutting down Motive from really taking advantage of this good position, of this lack of pushing power from Sharp. And Sharp is just buying himself a lot of time to start getting this tank count up and preparing for this next attack that should be coming out here soon.
Yeah, I mean, he does eventually get this 4th base started at 10 minutes, which is a reasonable timing. Standard is, 11 minutes. 10 is, a bit quick, a little bit greedy. Anything quicker than 10 is seriously greedy, so it's a little bit on the greedy side for Motive here, but he can kind of get away with that with how many tanks and forces have been lost. Oh, losing the Reavers like that! Does still have 1 on low HP, needs to be careful. This is one thing from slowing down the Terran from getting a crisply timed 3rd base of his own behind this. Now Sharp might be feeling a bit more confident about pushing out, and he's going to definitely roll out now with about 9 tanks or so. Try and secure grounds to not only put on pressure onto Motive, but eventually secure his own 3rd base. This positioning does favor Motive because the Terran's expanding towards the Protoss player, but he loses the shuttle and the Reaver. Suddenly Motive in a little bit of trouble now. Sharp can push the gas pedal down to the floor and start to really ramp things up. That's some beautiful mine connections as well, pushing back the Protoss forces into already laid mines, very Nada-esque style from back in the day. This is just really well played from Sharp despite some major overextensions. Needs to be tentative now from this point onwards. Can't just seize ground for free. We'll have to start leapfrogging up to put on pressure to this 12 o'clock position. Motive might try and wrap around and cut off the forces coming from the rally point and try and kill these tanks that are on the periphery right now. Sharp pulling back to try and defend against this. Motive still in a little bit of trouble, but does clear out 2 of the tanks.
Gets rid of some of those tanks, gives a pretty good mine drag there as well, but Sharp has a lot of production. Look at him keeping his money so low.
Yeah.
Sharp looking so handsome in this series so far. Keeping that money way below 500 at all times. Motive capping out and having a hard time keeping up that production non-stop. Here's a storm finally. Storm from the high ground is quite strong. How many more storms does he have here? Because he needs quite a lot to block this and prevent it from killing the base. Look at the spread here as well from Sharp. He is just going to be so difficult to dislodge from this position. Some Zealot drops most likely on top of this are going to potentially draw some fire. Zealot's running out into the mines here, and he's hitting from the back of this army. Maybe he can still clear this. He's still got the base alive, and he's kept that pylon wall active as well. So Vultures have been able to get over there and kill a bunch of SCVs. Army coming up from behind. The flank is being flanked now, and everything will be driven back. Motive lacking units right now, and he's over there, I think, spending all of his money while the army's just shoving forward. He loses his shuttle, and the High Templar are going to go down. All the Dragoons fall. The blue blood litters the scene here, and not much is left over for motivation. Now, he cannot really remake those Dragoons at a point like this. He needed to keep those alive as the core part of his army and reinforce with this army over here, but this is all he has left, and he has to get value out of this.
Wow, this is really like a peasant's revolt or workers' uprising of how much blue blood has fallen in this game already, saying now starting to hammer this 12 o'clock base. Motive in a lot of trouble. This is a very strong two-base timing attack from Sharp. It does have to work for him to be in a good position, but it's more than working thus far. Already finding the value necessary to keep making this a more and more playable game going forward. It's kind of like a semi all-in from Sharp here. He needed to find damage and knock out this base to keep this playable, but he's done such a good job of trading as well as accomplishing that goal that now Motive might be at risk of just being eliminated right here, right now, as there's so many forces of Terran set up in good positions for him to have to deal with. He's trying to kind of rotate around the outside and create opportunities of flanking on the center of the board here. But look how active Sharp is being with his units. Is really next level stuff that he's keeping track of the Protoss movements and responding in kind this efficiently.
It's funny that every game so far, the Protoss have been going for this double robo style, but I feel like it's being forced by Sharp. Sharp is putting on so much pressure early and doing these really aggressive attacks. It seems like Protoss feel the need to get these early shuttles out and play that scrappy style, and it feels like Sharp he wants that to happen. He's goading the Protoss player into doing that, and then just taking advantage of them and taking good fights where other Terran players just aren't able to. I would love to see Sharp against Best today in his current form. I wish that he was in this lineup right now, but Motive is about to be knocked out, and I don't know if there's anyone who can stop him.
It doesn't seem like anyone can, saying Mini's left waiting in the wings for a revive maybe, but I mean, this is just becoming more and more untenable for Motive. The longer this goes on, his motivation for playing must be dwindling at this point. Sharp is just so on point, finds the connection with the shuttle and eliminates it with those Hellfire missiles of the Goliaths. Now starting to clean up the majority of this remaining force of Motive as well, so he can float this CC finally, even catching these Dragoons on the exit. I mean, what are we even watching right now? We're seeing an absolute clinic in Terran versus Protoss from Sharp, who basically says, hold my beer, you guys are a bunch of whiners. This is how you play this race.
Now pushing up towards the third base, putting the clincher on his all-kill prize. Finally reaching out to grab that. He's fought hard here and long against all these Protoss players. Mini was definitely the biggest challenge, and he might get a revive, but the all-kill prize will be his regardless. Sharp slowly inching in here. It's such a difficult position to dislodge. You can see that huge line of tanks in the back. 5 tanks stacked on top of each other is generally not a great idea, but in a position like this, it makes it absolutely impossible for Motive to push through that spot. No way he's breaking across this ramp and saving this base.
I'm just speechless by the high-level unit control of Sharp. Like, it's basically Terran versus Protoss 1-on-1 to like inch forward, just like 1 or 2 tanks while the rest are in line. Motive trying to do his best to dislodge that with a few Zealot bombs, but it's not enough. Look how active Sharp is being with this. He's making it an absolute nightmare for Motive to deal with this position. He keeps, you know, storm dodging, bringing his tanks back from the front line when necessary. There's a few mines next to these siege tanks that probably he should kill, but it doesn't matter. GG is called, and Sharp, with just one more player on the chopping block for him to eliminate, gets the clapper from KCM. He's already taken out the whole squad. There's one revive left in the pocket for Protoss. Who do they bring back? It's most likely going to be Mini. He is essentially the seniority here and has the most experience, has the highest skill level technically out of these 4 players, but even Sharp took him down on Eclipse of all maps. I mean, is there anyone that can beat this guy today?
All right, all kill prize in the bag. Sharp spawning over here in the top left, and Mini has been revived. Just need to get that 4 kills in a row to get the all kill prize, and he's accomplished that. So victory lap here for Sharp. Can he finish off Mini now, or will Mini start his own reverse sweep, taking out Sharp and then moving through the ranks? We're going to start here on Metropolis. Horizontal positions, and Mini is not going to be throwing down a proxy gateway, at least this time.
Yeah, Mini's going to be a little bit annoyed once he realizes that he didn't luck out with the spawns. You're kind of hoping for the Terran player to, like, say, he's hoping that, say, Sharp is in the bottom right, for example, because then the natural third is kind of towards the Protoss player and can be a little bit awkward to navigate. But in this case, that natural third a little bit easier for Sharp to secure. Sometimes though, you want to take it a little bit slower than usual. It's still a bit of a journey to get down there, and you can be spread pretty thin if you take it too greedily. So I don't imagine we'll see a fast third out of Sharp this game. Most likely a 5 factory kind of play, I would have to imagine.
Yeah, he's gonna find the bad news here now. Mini scouting that bottom right, seeing that Sharp is not down here. He did start a gateway on that low ground, probably for some Zealot pressure initially, although Sharp's just been handling the Zealot pressure at kind of an insane level. He's been handling it with such flying colors. I'm surprised to see Mini going for something like that now with this forward gateway.
Oh, he's had such finesse and poise. He's definitely been getting the sharpening stones operational in maybe preparation for this next coming ASL. He's been dealing with some health issues, like you say. Has got thyroid cancer, not necessarily a serious form of cancer, very treatable and manageable, but still hasn't really been able to shine in this previous ASL. Who knows though, this ASL coming up might be his time to, you know, really dominate. And with the anti-Zerg nature of the maps, maybe even he himself will be the one to dismantle someone like Sulky. It's going to be really tough. I don't necessarily think that would come to pass, but this guy is definitely like a round of 8 contender, almost for sure. I'm hoping we'll see good things from him in the future. SCV waiting to body block with this. Zealot tries to cycle it out. Mini a bit annoyed probably that he didn't get the kill on that SCV with just 2 HP remaining. He's going to look for it now. Rotate around with this probe and Zealot combo, trying to find some damage in this mineral line. But so far, Sharp doing a good job of avoiding any kind of significant damage.
Yeah, he's done a great job here, and the second Zealot is making its way in now. Really good control once again. Oh my gosh, is he gonna lose a Marine? Starts to falter just a little bit. Another Marine's gonna go down, and things are starting to fall a little bit out of control. Needs to block with the SCV. He loses another Marine. Okay, this can get really bad now. I think Sharp may actually just die if it gets any worse. Maybe. He does finish the factory, so the Vulture is gonna come out. Nice placement of that add-on there to block the Zealot for a second. He will get rid of that Zealot now, but so many Marines have fallen. Some SCVs have gone down as well. This is definitely the damage that Mini was looking for.
Yeah, no, this is really spectacular. The Vulture will eventually clean this up, but a lot of damage was done and a bit of miscontrol now from Sharp. Even had 5 SCVs on gas for a few beats there. Really unoptimized in this game. Has to replenish that Marine count to have any hope of securing his naturals safely. Mini knows with this Dragoon on the low ground, he's going to force more and more resources to be allocated into those Marines to finally take that and really slow down. He's actually going to go for a second factory before CC here. Whoa, Sharp. This is an emotional reaction. Something we see from Light sometimes, where things kind of go a little bit awry and suddenly you're throwing down a second factory on Metropolis. We saw this against against Best in the ASL, and the Pro Pools was just too good for Best, and he shut this down. Will Mini equally shut something like this down? It's kind of like a double bluff right now from Sharp. It's like you know, like a double fake double here. He's actually going for a 2 factory play, and he's forcing a bit of a reaction from Mini, who's making a shield battery right now. But I don't know, man. Like this second factory is pretty late, so I'm not sure how successful this will be. But I kind of understand why he went for it. He's kind of lost the ability to play a normal game.
Feeling a lot of pressure here. Sharp with the second factory, looking for the quick win. Mini has a good number of Dragoons out here, even utilizing that shield battery initially. Get those Dragoons to as high HP as possible. Ready for this initial engage. He sees the 2 tanks, quite a few Marines here. And let's see if he can dive on a tank. 4 Dragoons trying to get the shots off. Can he get that one more hit? He does get the tank kill. Not able to get the drag there on that mine, and 2 Dragoons have died. A third is going to pop out here. He can still use the shield battery as he kind of mulches the Marines trying to push forward, and mines land right beside that shield battery. Will he be able to utilize it? He does get some more energy off of that shield battery. Very nice control. Not pulling the probes off just yet. It might be a little bit late for the probe pull. Thought he would pull those a little bit sooner. He is going to pull it now, though. Gets the pylon down here at the front. He's going to buy some more time. Dragoon that pops out of this gateway, though, is probably going to be sacrificial.
This is wild. More gateways going down in the main base. Actually survives with that Dragoon. Repairs it up. The range of the shield battery is a bit longer than you would think, guys, so he can still utilize this despite the Sim City locking him out from going forward here. Sharp will be able to target down that shield battery and eliminate it. Won't take him too long either. The HP on that's pretty low. One of the fastest buildings to kill in the game. That's not a cannon and what have you for the Protoss. So I mean, this is the kind of nuts still, though. Like Sharp definitely still has a win condition here. Kills an additional Dragoon. The 2 gateways now coming online in the main base, but there will be, you know, a few moments here before Dragoons actually start popping out from there. So, you know, Sharp could actually make this work. He's even getting a Starpod online. He could do follow-ups, Vulture drops, or even make a Wraith here. Like, anything's possible. The Wraith could shut down if it was going to be some sort of shuttle play, but Vulture drop into the main base would also be crazy good if Mini is just focused on breaking out. This is a really wild game we're seeing.
That Zealot popping out absolutely screwed over this attack. Actually, he's lost a bunch of Vultures. Now there's only the 2 tanks, and there's an Observer here, so he can push through this. Dude, that one Zealot actually changed this game completely. It's insane how much damage that did, how much clearing on the mines that did, and now he's pushing back across the map. Looks like he ate another mine there or something. 2 more Dragoons fall, but I mean, I think he can push this back. He's got the 4 gateways online now. 4 more units are about to pop out here for Mini, and it's just 2 tanks, 2 Vultures at a time.
Yeah, no, I think Mini's done it. This is really well held from him. You're absolutely right. That setup really did change the flavor of this game, and suddenly Sharp in a lot of trouble. Mini knows it as well. He smells blood in the water. He's going to start surging forward with his units, and This is going to be crazy. I mean, there might be a hope for Sharp doing something here. I think he's got a Wraith making its way onto the map. I think he was anticipating a shuttle or robo follow-up from Mini. He doesn't expect this to be just pure gateways, so this Wraith actually won't find much, potential now.
The mines are great. I mean, they're awesome units, but with the Dragoons just pushing across like that with Observer, you're not going to be able to delay long enough for the tanks to get their damage. Here's a shuttle coming out, and he saw that, so he's going to be able to get the Wraith over here immediately. Can he shut down this shuttle? If he kills the shuttle, that would be a really big pickup. It looks like he will get it. So no Bulldog here from Mini, at least for the time being, but this is such a bad position for Sharp, almost irrecoverable.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of nuts. He will be able to stop this Wraith from killing any probes, most likely, just by rotating his Dragoons around. It's not going to really accomplish much besides killing that shuttle and providing some scouting information. Bit of a nightmare situation now for Sharp. I mean, technically he can win this game, but it's going to be exceedingly difficult to do so. This is like a 95+% chance for Mini to win this game from now on. Sharp is so desperate to find any kind of maneuvers necessary to start mounting a comeback, but didn't even slow down this third base from being planted like he was looking for. He needs like every star to align right now to finally wipe out and kill all of the players as well as the revive, but looks like it's just going to be that initial all kill of 4, and he won't be able to take down Mini, I don't think. We've seen crazier things happen in KCM, so I don't want to count Sharp out, but this is such a tough game to win from this position.
Yeah, I mean, the third is down, and it's going to be mining here soon, and the natural is floating out. The natural command is floating out right now. Mini is insanely far ahead. He's got the shuttle for the Bulldog. Dropping Zealots on that high ground. It could be deadly. Here comes 2 Wraiths now, but it's too late. The Zealots are there on the high ground. They will be able to deal with that tank, and the tanks here on the low ground can just be bullied back. SCV pull is not going to be enough, and all the tanks are going to fall down here. At the very least, he's going to lose control of his low ground, if not just lose the game and die right now. I'm expecting a tap out any second. Sharp has done an amazing job this series, but it looks like he won't be able to take Terran all the way.
Absolutely saying those 2 Wraiths too late to save Sharp from his fate. He's not going to be able to kill all 5 of these players in a row. He did do such a great job of taking down the 4 of them, but it seems like he's not going to get the ultimate glory here today. And Mini technically could go on a reverse all kill. It's going to be such a mountain for him to climb. But if anyone can do it, it's Mini. He just needs a bit of confidence and mojo, and anything is possible. This guy's an absolute beast when he's playing his best. Surging forth now. Going to be trying to eliminate this tank. I mean, it's a valiant effort here from Sharp to try and make a game out of this, but I mean, with 3 bases mining already for Mini, even though he's technically not putting the nails into Sharp's coffin just yet, unfortunately, the writing will be on the wall for our Terran players. 45 supply to 95 for Mini. There is not much hope for Sharp to win this game, but he is at least going to try and make a play in slowly but surely getting a comeback here. But Mini's going to elevate her into the main base now.
Oh my goodness. Eventually he's going to be able to take this game away, guys. I promise you. 1,500 minerals in the bank right now. Mini, not quite macroing at his full potential, but he's doing a lot of micro right now, trying to get up into this main and just end this game. He's got such a massive advantage. It's almost impossible to imagine a comeback from this spot, but look at this. He's going to kill the shuttle, it looks like. That shuttle going down is pretty annoying. Oh! It barely survives. You've got to be kidding me. And a Wraith goes down as well. Sharp still trying to play this one out, frustrating his opponent at the bare minimum for his Terran brethren to follow up and get that final blow.
I think that's the plan for Sharp here, is just to tire Mini out as much as possible and maybe, you know, get under his skin ever so slightly so he's a little bit less confident going into these future games, and the chances of an, you know, reverse all kill will be, you know, falling through his fingers. And I think that's the idea. We see that a lot in StarCraft when you know, sometimes you just want to tire your opponent out, especially in these longer series, and that might come to pass. I mean, this is not an easy game for Mini to close out. He's finally looking for that kill move now. Reavers and Dragoons could try and eliminate this armory from getting the upgrade. 2 tanks barely out of range to save that. These 2 Reavers can kill this armory.
Oh, the Reaver's doing so much damage, and it will go down. SCV pull, valiant effort there from Sharp to try and save that. He's slow pushing in his own main to try and get rid of these Reavers and Dragoons that have just been slowly pulled back further and further, continuing to be a thorn in the side for Sharp as the killing blow, the killing force makes its way up to that natural. There are a ton of dragons here, and there's going to be a round of zealots coming in shortly. There's the zealots coming forward, and this natural is just not looking like a powerful defensive position. A couple of zealots dropped on top of this, some mine connections here, drug into the tanks, and now the follow-up should be the killing blow. And there it is. GG. Sharp taps out, and Mini begins the climb, begins the journey to the reverse all kill. You've got to be kidding me. Sharp has been revived, and he's going up against Mini. The best of 3 here is going to be held on Deja Vu. Mini in the top left, Sharp in the top right.
Yeah, this is going to be wild. We had Sharp eliminating Mini on Eclipse, Mini getting revenge on Metropolis, but now the Terran squad has deemed Sharp worthy of a quick revive. Let's have a quick best of 3 rematch while we still can. This is the only opportunity to do so. A little bit of a grudge between these 2 players has emerged in this series, and despite Sharp's dominance, Mini was able to fight back at the last hurdle. Can he go all the way? Can he cross that finish line potentially and start knocking down these Terran players like dominoes? He's still got to dismantle this absolute mad lad who went on an all-kill rampage today. This is going to be a great little best of 3 set between these 2.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he decided to come back out here. I thought the plan was to tire Mini, but I'm sure he tired himself out there as well, trying to make that win work. And he must be tired from taking down all these Protoss players, but these professional Terran players are something else, man. The grind, the level of grinding is really impressive.
They're used to playing, you know, twice as many games as some of these other guys do. They're not, you know, averse to 10, 12, 14-hour days of just non-stop games, drilling out 30-plus games a day. It's pretty standard for some of these Terran guys. You kind of have to dot your I's, cross your T's, and get through to the next plateau of skill. There's so many boxes you need to check to actually see a noticeable improvement, and you got to really hammer out so many games as Terran to get things working. Good moving shot attempt there from Mini. Won't be able to catch up to that SCV and deny that from being a little thorn in his side. He will try to stop the SCV getting into the main base with an additional probe. He's really trying to obfuscate and limit the vision now of Sharp by bringing this second probe to bear and trying to get the chase micro down to finish his SCV off. Mini looking for a moral victory as well as a tempo lead now. Trying to really dismantle and disrupt the ebb and flow of Sharp, who was on such a rampage for so long, but Mini looking to be the one in the driver's seat calling the shots.
That's right, first Zealot moving across the map here, and might be able to disrupt Sharp even that little bit more. 2 Marines coming out to the front, and I believe there's going to be a Vulture on the way here shortly. This is another quick factory. I'm not sure if that was an 11 gas from Sharp this time, but I imagine it would be so, yeah. And with that quick 11 gas, the Vulture once again ready to deny the early Zealot this early game should be going a little smoother for Sharp and get himself into a better position where he doesn't feel the need to two factory again and, you know, put himself into a rough spot.
Right. And this was a rangeless expand for Mini. So it will be some time before these Dragoons will find the value they're looking for. Hasn't actually yet taken that range upgrade. Now just starting it. SUV can chill in the main base and confirm that's not going to be cancelled. Some SUVs coming off the line. Sharp wants to be aggressive all of a sudden. He sees there's no range on the way and maybe smells a little bit of blood in the water himself now. Can he get the micro going his way? Does manage to eliminate this Zealot. Now puts down some damage onto these Dragoons, using the SUVs to body block and prevent a safe path of retreat, allowing these Vultures more and more connections. That other Dragoon, so dangerously low, does find good target fire on that Vulture to eliminate it, though. Needs to be careful with that Dragoon. It's so low on HP. Just a few shots from those Gauss rifles, and they will eliminate him. Does find a kill on that with the fragmentation grenade. Needs to throw down the shield battery on the high ground to try and hold the line. This is going to be a bit of a weird bunker rushy situation here from Sharp. It looks like he might want to pull back and wait for more units to arrive before pushing the issue a little bit further. Now starting to come back into the natural expansion. This is absolutely wild. The confidence from Sharp is unparalleled. Can Mini smack it down, Sam?
Oh, it's close, man. He lost 2 Vultures, though, that he should have been able to keep alive. Trying to target down a few probes right now at the tail end of this fight, but he can pull back these Dragons. He's not utilizing the high ground shield battery. He could have saved, I think, both of these Dragoons, but he's going to lose the 2 of them. The pair go down, and so Mini faltering just a little bit there, losing those 2 Dragoons, but he ultimately shut down this attack, which is so dangerous from Sharp.
Yeah, Sharp had an SCV bot blocking the ramp to try and make it harder.
Are you kidding me?
It's insane! What are we seeing here from Sharp? This is monstrous play. Mini must be frustrated, pulling off all of the probes, tries to get a surround on that tank. That's a beautiful surround as well. Hasn't quite found the kill on that. The SCV trying to help that tank, and now starting to gun down these probes. There is a Dragoon out, but with the Vulture, he can run past something once. He does kill that siege tank with that particle beam. Doesn't quite finish off, misses the shot with that Dragoon. Now laying down mines on top of the gateway. Doesn't get the connection on the Goon at the ramp, but this is super annoying for Mini. Kills at least one of these probes. Now the probes are natural, also at risk of falling. This is such a wild conclusion to the best of 3 series between these 2 individuals. A few more probes going down, but Mini does hold.
Oh my goodness, Shun. Absolute pandemonium in this game so far.
Yeah.
Everything just barely held off by Mini. Just able to get the kill. I was actually afraid for him when he missed that shot from the low ground with the Dragoon, that he wasn't going to be able to clear the mine, but he barely cleared that and then pushed up here to deal with that Vulture while simultaneously handling things with the probes and the natural. Really good multitasking, great control from him. This game is nowhere near over. The natural is done for Sharp. He's on 2 factories. He is still in a completely playable game state. I just don't have a full counting of how many probes were killed, how many SCVs were killed, and I think both players are a little bit unsure as to what their position is in this game.
Oh, I think so. I think both players are a little bit unsure of exactly where they stand in the pecking order, but I think Sharp came out a few percentile points ahead of Mini when all's said and done. Not only did he kill some probes, but he also had a lot of lost mining time. And he only pulled like 4 SCVs to the front. That wasn't a massive commitment from Sharp. And you saw how adamant Mini was on surrounding that siege tank. He did kill it, but all of those probes losing that much mining time, it's kind of insane. So when all's said and done, I do think like this is favoring Sharp slightly. But we're going to potentially have a real game on our hands. Sharp looking to be confident and aggressive aggressive yet again. He's going to go all the way around to the center and try and surprise Mini. Mini might be thinking that Sharp's turtling a little bit here on powering on 2 bases, but Sharp just non-stop pressure and confidence. I mean, what is this guy on?
The star sense from Sharp to do this attack right now. I mean, if Mini was just powering goons in a situation like this, he could easily shut all of this down, but he went for a very fast third base, guys. This is a crazy fast third base after all the pressure he's been under. Starting that around 7 minutes, 6 minute 30, something like that. Crazy from Mini, but with the observer here and this number of Dragoons, he actually might be able to save it. He might be able to shut down this attack and save this. Oh, the dive in by Sharp is kind of crazy. He does shut that down though as well. Just needs to control these Dragoons a little bit more and he should be able to kill this tank.
This is just wild. I mean, Mini will shut down this tank. I like the idea here from Sharp. That wasn't actually the main plan for Sharp. The plan was to force Mini to put all of his eggs into the basket of defending this third and then running by with some vultures into the natural. But Mini did have a couple of Dragoons waiting from the rally point in the defensive line of that Sim City and was able to deal with that attack with what he had out on the map already. This is just such a high-level game from both sides. We don't usually see games like this. Even going to be elevatoring some probes down from the main base to saturate this third base safely, knowing how common it is for Sharp to try and intercept those probe transfers. Mini's not taking any risks against this guy.
It's very funny, actually, to see him pick up his probes and send them to the third that way. Technically, that is a really strong idea, but so few Protoss players will ever do that. It's just funny to see Mini put in that extra leg work, go the extra mile here to make sure that he doesn't take this damage against Sharp, because yeah, he is so well known for catching those probes, and it's already been such a crazy game. He's like, all right, just let me just get these probes over here. We're not gonna mess around with this. And he does get that full transfer. He will be able to block these upcoming vulture raids, and Mini is looking to be in a strong spot, but there's still hope for Sharp. Let's see what he can do with the follow-up. Oh gosh, the tank here, actually, there's only the one. The other tanks are up in the main base waiting for the drop to come in. He will siege up on the high ground. Reaver here, getting a little damage, getting a tank kill. Not bad for Mini. He'll definitely take that. And can start to expand even further out on the map now, although there are some vultures still out here looking for that fourth base attempt.
This is such a wild game, Sen. I mean, we do have that 5 factory production for Sharp. There was about 6 or so gateways for Minis, now adding on a few more, probably going up to 8 or more. We'll be making the CC in the main base to float over to his natural third belatedly. For the time being, though, Mini gonna kind of soft contain the Terran and force him to leapfrog out onto the map and tentatively secure this position. And Mini might be looking to bulldog a little bit here, but I don't think so. I think it's much more likely that Mini's going to expand down to the bottom left quadrant now. Yeah, there's the probe. It makes sense. Like, you don't want to overstep your boundary here as Mini. You've already done what's necessary to have a much more playable game state after the early game shenanigans. Oh, the Nexus doesn't get planted! That's crazy. I mean, that's just wild. When all this going on, and he still somehow snipes the probe down there in the bottom left. I mean, what pills are they giving him to cope with his thyroid? Because somehow it's making him play like an absolute beast.
I don't know, Shun. He's gonna catch the probe again. You've gotta be kidding me. Unreal. Mini had 1,500 minerals in the bank to throw down that Nexus, but he just wasn't quick enough. He was controlling over at the natural and trying to get some little trades there with Sharp and the Reavers, but I mean, it's time to start picking up probes and dropping them with shuttles again. I think Mini Get that base online pronto. This has to go down now. It's 12, almost 13 minutes in. Sharp's about to take his third base, and this Nexus has already been delayed like 3 minutes or something like that. It's crazy how much of a delay that was.
Yeah, it delays by 30 seconds at least each time, upwards of a minute each time, depending on how fast your reaction is. So if you snipe 2 probes, it might be, you know, 2 minutes worth of delay potentially. It's that nuts. It's definitely something you should go for if you're able to, and Sharp is definitely able to. SCV train rotating around to that third base location to set up. Mini though looking for a potential massive bulldog. Maybe Sharp is spread a little bit too thin here, and Mini can go for a massive bowl over attempt, ramming it down. Has a cannon going up in the main as well, just in case there's some kind of vulture run by or vulture drop shenanigans. But he's trying to size up Sharp right now with this observer. Do I have enough to just smash him or not? Here comes a bit of a testing of the waters from Mini. He's going to see if he can get in the natural expansion and get things started here. Trying to fly all the way now into the main base. One shuttle does go down to those long bolt missiles. Sharp being pretty active with his army. Mini's trying to figure out how many tanks have you allocated to defend against this. He only sees 2, so he doesn't want to necessarily push at the front with this little tanks committed to defending against this. If there was more a response from Sharp, he might try and hit the front. But as it stands, that's a massive connection on those Reavers, taking them out now. This is a crazy game. Mini has to double expand into this bottom left and sit back and power now, and hope that with 3 bases, Sharp won't be able to max out too quickly.
There was an opportunity there for Mini to maybe just dive the to dive this position here right in front of the natural while everything was being pulled back. You could see how much Sharp committed to try and get rid of those Reavers, but the Reavers die here pretty quick, and now everything's been maneuvered back into position, and Sharp's spot is looking strong. He should be able to defend any sort of big timing from Mini now, then get into that +2. Mini gonna double expand to bottom left, and he will be able to transfer the probes over there. No more harassment coming from Sharp to try and block that, but it's still quite late. Actually, there are vultures. Somehow 3 vultures made their way out onto the map, and they're down at bottom left. He's gonna simultaneously do a little harassment over into that bottom left while pushing out here against these Dragoons, getting on top of the Dragoons now, laying mines on top of them. Sharp, will he get bowled over though? The counter push is gonna be huge. A lot of Zealots here. Big storms on the high ground as well. He's absolutely dominating this fight. However, these Zealots do get cleared out. Oh my goodness. I really thought he was gonna bowl that over Mini, but fighting up that high ground turned out to be too much.
It's a really wild game, saying now we can rotate around this donut and start to encroach on the rally point. He scans ahead to identify how much forces there are to deal with, so he knows how greedy he can be. There are mines right next to these siege tanks, so mine drags would be huge. Sharp needs to be careful about that. Shuttle now coming out into support of this. Can he try and bowl over this forces? Some Sonic Storms go down. Good target firing from Sharp, trying to mitigate total disaster here. Mini does have both of these bases operational and mining in the bottom left. Both players though will start to become mined out in their main and natural. Sharp has to make this attack work or expand. He has to achieve one of those 2 goals right now. He can't just stay on this current game position. So Sharp is kind of pressured to attack really heavily now and contain Mini and try and look for, you know, some kind of winning position from this point onwards. He has to, you know, contain the Protoss and start rotating around and knocking out bases. It's very difficult to secure a 4th base on this map for Terran, but if he can make it work with this 3-base timing attack, he might be able to just smash Mini now.
It's also very difficult to push up onto that high ground. The position, the pocket that Sharp has lodged himself into is incredibly hard to dislodge. Protoss here landing some Reavers. Oh, what the? Oh, Dragoons in the middle of the map wander into the tank line. No way. Mini making a huge mistake there. He loses the bulk of his counterattacking force. His flanking force is gone, and the Reavers are just going to go down. No way. Oh my goodness. Mini has just thrown this game away. with that couple of moves there, it looked like he was setting up for a big flank to be able to dislodge this spot, but now it's almost impossible after losing so much in such quick succession. Sharp is going to start to push forward for this win.
Yeah, Sharp is just slicing through the thick hide of Mini's fur right now and exposing the softness of inside of him. He's going to try and unload some more units onto these siege tanks that are hammering his natural third location, but Sharp with a supply lead and necessary damage needed to be done to actually close this game out will give him the confidence and the clear path of execution. The shuttle's flying over the path of these Goliaths as well, taking damage for free. Mini in a lot of trouble. Is going to lose this natural third and potentially his own main base at this fray. Like, Sharp doesn't technically have to rotate around to the bottom left. He could just eliminate all of the tech and the gateway production in the main base and knock out the natural as well. This is kind of a crazy series we've had here for the semi-finals. Even though it's been a little bit one-sided, the kind of vendetta that these two have had for each other and the best of three between them has definitely been more than a spectacular showing to make up for it.
Sharp slowly shoving in here now, cutting off all means of escape. All pathways have been shut down and is pushing in towards the center left again. Both of the forges are here. It looks like still some upgrades are cranking away, and Sharp getting out some wraiths now behind this, hoping to shut down those pesky shuttles, which is going to be the only way for Mini to maneuver between these bases and have any chance of shutting down these attacks out on the map. And so if he's able to get some wraiths over here to start killing those off, it's going to be a nightmare situation for Mini. He's bringing forward some units from that secondary rally point to try and break this bush. Drops on top of a lot of this stuff. Lots of zealots being laid down here. Some army coming in as well. That's a great mine drag, but it doesn't kill the tanks. The tanks still remain, and this push will be reinforced. The shuttles go down. That's the utility out of the army. And yeah, he will have a couple of reavers here in the middle to maybe cut off reinforcements, maybe shut down this third base, but the writing is on the wall right now for Mini as this base in the bottom left gets encroached upon and the setup here from Sharp gets solidified. He's got to make a move now. He's got to shut this down before the Nexus falls.
I mean, technically the natural third is still mining for Mini. Sharp just down to one singular mining base. Needs the center to supplement his income, but he's still trading so efficiently, encroaching on his position in the bottom left quadrant. Even as a Wraith now to spot for those tanks, does take that out. But with how many tanks he's got down in his bottom left, it doesn't look like Mini's going to keep in that bay. Even as a 4 Goliath hit squad to snipe those shuttles continuously. Mini desperate to try and kill this CC in the center, which will be a lot of lifeblood for Sharp to really close this game out, despite not killing that natural third of Mini. Here's a lot of speed shuttles trying to rain down zealot bombs on top of these siege tank positions. Mini with a valiant effort trying to clear the contain. He's being very successful in doing so for the time being. Very well done from Mini indeed, but is it enough? I think the answer is no. The high ground position still maintained for Sharp, and he's going to continue to ram it down while that CC finishes up in the center and keeps some minerals churning after being mined out in his main and natural. Even a DT coming out to try and help out, but he's scanning. He's non-stop on top of everything. Is Sharp. Like, this guy is just firing on all cylinders right now.
More load ups here back at home. He desperately needs to drop some zealots on that high ground, and it looks like Sharp's just gonna push back, or fall back, excuse me, and re-put together his army in the center. I think this is a very smart move from Sharp, who is so close to killing that Nexus, but he knows if he loses that army and Mini gets out on the map again, his position in the middle will be very difficult to hold. He is pushing down a few more units here, and continuing with this push after everything's been brought together. I think a lot of those tanks that were thrown back are actually low HP tanks, and he wants to Give them some time, give them some TLC, bring them back to full HP before doing any sort of further push with them. Storms coming around this side. No, Reavers, in fact, are going to start to get some shots on these SCVs. Great pull away there from Sharp to keep those alive, but looks like some of these forces will go down. Mini trying to get anything he possibly can done to slow down Sharp right now, who is finally mining on 2 bases once again.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good idea from Mini. He does need to try and shut down some of this mining from Sharp. It's like the one thing that's really keeping Sharp in this game and able to go the distance. He's going to float down his CC from his natural to the 3 o'clock base now and try and keep the expansion warpath going. And he's contained Mini still on both fronts, so despite technically Mini having okay supply and 2 rally points to work with, the position is still maintained for Sharp, and he's kind of still contained Mini on 2 fronts here. And Mini's having a hard job juggling things and, like, you know, ferrying units around with shuttles and doing what needs to be done to actually maintain an even remotely playable game state. He's even eliminating the mining force in this natural third. Mini desperate to go on a counter-offensive. Can he drop this main mineral line in the natural third of Sharp? His 4 speed shuttles dive bombing on top of them. So many Zealots streaming out, as well as a couple of Reavers for artillery support, but the SCVs have been evacuated. They can all just go down to this 3 o'clock position if they need to. This base is almost mined out anyway.
He doesn't pick up the second Reaver as well, but the Zealots are getting more tank kills than expected. Doing quite a bit of damage here. He's even going to kill, I think, potentially that Comsat. Are there going to be more Dark Templar popping out here for Mini to try and save the day? He is a very prolific Dark Templar user. Some more tanks, I think, are going to fall here. But Sharp takes out center left. It's down to just 2 bases mining right now for Mini against the 2 bases mining of Sharp. I guess he doesn't have that center right yet, and Mini is denying that for the time being. Coming in with some more Reavers. Can he continue to shut this down? Big hit there, killing a lot of these SCVs and some Vultures at the same time. Taking a few more pot shots here and backing up a little bit further. He loses one of those Reavers in the shuttle, and he will evacuate the other. Oh, saves that with just 19 HP.
Mini counter-attacking the 4th base in the 3 o'clock position might actually kill that CC. I mean, even though this is a Sharp favorited game, Mini technically has a path to victory. It's just going to be hard to reach for him. More and more forces now consolidating into the center of the board. This last mineral mining base of Sharp is so important to maintain. He has a little bit left to trickle coming in from that natural third, but that will be dried up in a minute or 2. So Sharp is desperate to cling on to this center while starting to launch another attack vector down to the bottom left quadrant. That's where the last mining bases of Mini are located, and he will be wanting to try and strangle Mini out of this game. He's got some shuttles sharking around from the main base in the top left. He has about 4 speed shuttles total to try and leverage against this massive tank line. He's going to try and set up some bombs soon, but he might have to actually sacrifice this Nexus for the time being.
One good fight for Mini. That's all he needs. Take out that one single army, and he should be good to go. The middle is mining out. He's actually going to get on top of these SCVs and kill a lot of them, making this into an insanely scrappy game. A lot of the forces are being pulled back. In fact, Mini still maintains that base down in the bottom left. That Nexus still alive. A lot of the probes have been killed, though, and the supply advantage is getting massive. 40 advantage for Sharp. This counterattack turns out not very effective for Mini. Everything is going to get cleaned up here, and now Sharp can focus all of his attention on containing the Protoss player and preventing any further attacks. Here he comes with another shuttle dropping on top of this stuff at 12 o'clock at this top corner. He will be able to juggle the Reaver just a little bit longer, kill even one more tank, but this is the writing on the wall for Mini. He cannot stop this army that's making its way down to bottom left, and he will likely lose that Nexus now. Sharp has almost no money coming in, but he's got the army, and that's what matters.
It's a 45 supplier lead, starting to really ram it down now. There is not enough splash damage or shuttle utility to deny this from occurring. And he's just going to knock out this Nexus and then rotate around back to the center to maintain this mining base. It is kind of vital for Sharp that he maintains his income as much as possible. Mini has one base in the bottom left still. Sharp's about to become mined out on this natural third, so maintaining his mineral only is pretty important for Sharp. With the Wraiths now putting a clock on this shuttle and Reaver harass in the center is really paying dividends for Sharp as well, so he can allocate the majority of his forces elsewhere and clean up some of these Dragoons on aisle 5 and prevent any hopes of Mini mounting a comeback here. This is just crazy. Look at the body blocking of the Vultures on top of the Dragoons as well to maximize his trading efficiency. Sharp is on a different level today. His grinding has paid off. He's reached a plateau beyond plateaus. It seems like he was in the hyperbolic time chamber, just training away, and has managed to force Mini to tap out twice in a best of 3, and will be the torch that's carrying the Terran team to victory in the semi-finals. Just absolutely exceptional stuff from him. Gets the all kill, gets the clapper from KCM, and he does his Terran race proud, saying.
An absolutely fantastic finisher there. The last game with the revive on Sharp. Absolute cinema the way this one played out, guys. It was heavily Terran favored, but so many good games were had today. I would have loved to see the reverse sweep, but Sharp absolutely deserves to close this one out, and the Terran players agree.
Yeah, I think so, saying, and it's kind of reminiscent of that sign, the banner that was made in the ASL, which kind of made it seem like Sharp was starring in his own little Netflix show, and it definitely seemed like that today. And the rest of the Terran squad happy to put their feet up and let him just carry. I mean, insane stuff from him. There's not enough that can be said about the dominance that he showed in the matchup that is usually not going Terran's way in the triangle of balance. And I'm just blown away by his aggression. I mean, he was opening like 11 gas in a lot of these games as well. These guys know he likes to go for 11 gas, and he's still executing so fantastically at all junctions of the game. Even when he's in precarious situations, there was a few moments, say, for like on Eclipse against Mini, where he looked like Mini was starting to destroy him and kill all of his siege tanks, and he still was like, no, don't worry, I still got this, guys, and smack down Mini regardless. And really, the only game he conceded was that absolute crazy game against Mini, where there was a lot of early game shenanigans and he was forced to two-fact. And that's the only time he faltered in that wild game. So, I mean, you kind of got to give it to him. This guy's on an absolute different level.
This is the Sharp that I wish we would have seen in ASL 19. I have been a huge fan of this guy for a long time, and he really showed up in ASL 18 last year, but again, health issues being what they are, he wasn't able to quite reach that level, but we see him practicing like a savage, just smashing out games and performing at this level twice this season. 2 times that Sharp has outperformed everybody and gotten an all-kill prize. That is something to note, guys, coming up for this next season of ASL. This next year of StarCraft is going to have Sharp written all over it.
Yeah, guys, I'm just super stoked for the finals now between the Terrans and the Zergs. That's like my dream. I really wanted a Terran versus Zerg finals, and we're gonna see it, saying. And I don't think it's gonna be as one-sided as this semifinals was. I think there's gonna be heavy hitters on both sides of the aisle, and we are going to be seeing an amazing conclusion to another fantastic season of KCM. And I feel really blessed to be able to continue bringing this commentary to you guys alongside saying. This is kind of how we debuted as a duo caster setup. And, you know, we've come a long way since our first time casting together a few years ago. And I'm looking forward to many great seasons to keep casting with you.
Absolutely, Shun. Feeling blessed and feeling very excited to watch that TVZ finals, guys. Join us next week for the epic conclusion. Thank you so much for watching. Shout out to the Patreon supporters, everybody who's here watching live on Soup Live as well. SCTVEN, link in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.